Hello everyone, welcome live to 3YTV, tonight's broadcast of the National Sim Racing Association Simbox Truck Series here from the beautiful Richmond Raceway. This 3/4 mile racetrack located in Richmond, Virginia. Very, very beautiful. And tonight, of course, we do have the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200 in loving memory of Mike Himmelman, who passed away just a couple of years ago. Of course, Mike Himmelman, the driver of the number 4 machine here tonight. That, of course, is Drew Himmelman. You see him right there sitting at the end of pit road, getting set to do action here tonight. 200 miles, 267 laps around this racetrack. And I'll tell you what, it is going to be a fantastic race. I'm Peter Short. Joining me in the booth beside me is Drew Eisenman. And Drew, going to be a long race here tonight, 267 laps. I'll tell you what, this is going to be the first time we have seen these Simbox Truck Series drivers on a short track this season. What are you expecting tonight?
It looks like these trucks are the most unstable of any race that we have had so far in our NSRA Simbox Truck Series. I've seen a ton of guys get really loose off both turns 2 and turns 4. So yeah, I think it's going to be almost an endurance race here. It's guys that can stay out of trouble, keep their cars up front, and have a truck that is capable of racing for the win late in this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw, last week at Las Vegas, a lot of green flag running, and I'm hoping to see a lot more of that here tonight. In fact, we almost went pretty much caution-free in that race. It was a lot of green flag running until right there at the end. We had quite a few accidents. We have some storylines here tonight, and some of them involve your top 5 in points. Right there, Bill Edwards in the points lead in his machine. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. coming in second, just one marker back behind Bill Edwards coming in tonight. Jeff Price, the winner from Las Vegas, coming tonight into third. Paul Bilson, he is going to be one of the drivers, Drew, who's going to have to take a drive-through penalty at the start of this race. So we'll see him definitely down the order early on. We'll have to see if he can recover from that. Then Doug Milliner, Colin Ullery, TJ Buck, Ben Adams, Matt Cherry, Chris Darling rounding out your top 10 here in the National Sim Racing Association Simbox Truck Series point coming into tonight. But I'll tell you what, the practice session has come to an end here, and we're going to get set to go into the qualifying session. We'll bring up the qualifying times there as they come up. The first truck that I'm seeing out there on the racetrack is this man right here, and that's Andrew Himmelman. Of course, it is the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200 here tonight. And Drew, why don't you take us for a lap around this racetrack on board with the number 4 machine right here?
Absolutely. So Andrew Himmelman coming out of turn 4. So important that you set yourself up on the front stretch to get a good run down into turn 1. You can cost yourself a couple tenths if you screw up that exit. Going down into 1, you're going to kind of have that middle of the track on entry, cut it down on exit, trying to get to that yellow line. Little loose off. That's pretty typical of Richmond here. And now you're trying to get right down to that yellow line. I see he's up the track a little bit. So Andrew took the late apex approach, and then off at turn 4, trying to open that wheel up on exit to keep that truck from getting bogged down as we come into lap 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the man who's just jumped to the top of the board is this man we're on board with right there. That's James Lorello. He's trying to go around his second qualifying lap, but he gets loose coming out of turn number 2 into a big tank slapper. And Drew, Lorello was the big winner at Atlanta a couple of weeks back in the Spear Cancer for Crow 240 that we had back there at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Trying to get the job done here tonight, but he has just been topped by the number 47 machine right there of Chris Darling. And Drew, Darling was really fast in the practice session that we just had.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the most competitive we have seen Chris be on raw pace so far early in this season. But he was really quick in practice, and that is definitely carrying over to qualifying, although not much separates Chris Darling and James Zorello, only about a hundredth of a second there.
Yeah, definitely very, very close. As you can see, the live timing and scoring. It's actually a relatively short qualifying session here, just about 2 minutes left or so. There's the third place machine right now, the 971 of Nathan Maurer. Great qualifying run for him so far. I got to give a huge shout out to some of the people that we already have here in the chat here tonight. Tana Himmelman rooting on Ben Adams and Andrew Himmelman here tonight. The Windsors, of course, rooting on S2R. I'm sure you are happy to see the number 9 machine of Lorello up there as Maurer goes for a little bit of a spin. And there's the number 30 of Joshua Sobel. We'll see if we see his father in the chat here tonight. The Stay Tuned Sports Toyota Tundra. Great looking paint scheme. Kind of reminiscent there, Drew, of the Dallas Stars. Got to give a big shout out to my local hockey team, the Dallas Stars, making it to the Stanley Cup playoffs here. And hopefully the Stars can take home a win for Texas, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as much of a Dallas fan, but it definitely is very reminiscent of the green and silver that is the Dallas Stars. But I know Josh Sobel, not a bad run, top 5 qualifying position, as now we are looking at the 88 truck, who has been also very, very strong early this season. We'll see how he can come. Michael Mooney down in 22nd so far. I think that's going to wrap it up for him as he gets really loose on entry to the pits.
Yeah, we have about a minute left here in this qualifying session. You see up there in the top left-hand corner of your screen that qualifying's got plenty of time for these drivers. It's showing the checkered flag because some of these drivers have already completed their qualifying laps. Here's Joey Doucette in the number 61 machine working his way down the backstretch and got a little bit of a Batman look on that number 61 here tonight in the darkness. But Drew, it's the first time we've seen these drivers on a short track here, and you know what that means, short track action. There's going to be plenty of it tonight.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of close quarters racing tonight. I mean, we've already seen at tracks that you typically don't expect, like Atlanta and Las Vegas. We've already seen guys be really, door to door, bumper to bumper. When the tracks shrink down, so do those gaps between those vehicles, right? There's less room here. There's less places to go. So I would not be surprised if we see quite a few more cautions than at the other 2 non-super speedway races that we've had this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a tendency to agree. One driver that we've seen very, very fast on the 1.5 miles so far, the number 48 machine of Matt Cherry. He's also one of the drivers who will have to take a drive-through penalty at the start of tonight's race. I believe he has to serve it within the first 5 laps in that number 48 truck. So we'll have to see when he elects to use that and just how big of a penalty it will be, because Drew, on a short track like this, you can go a lap down very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the leader, I expect, in as large of a field that we have in 29 trucks, I really expect the leader will start catching those tail end guys. I mean, depending on the pace differential, I mean, maybe within 10, 15 laps, it's going to be really, really quick that these leaders start encountering that lap traffic. So if you start back there due to a penalty, I think you're already putting yourself at such a huge disadvantage that if we do get a long green run to start the race, which can happen, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, then I think that you are just putting yourself so far behind, and that you're probably at some point during that run going to be battling just to stay on the lead lap.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There you see the number 4 machine of Drew Himmelman. What a night it, of course, is tonight here for him with the Mike Himmelman Memorial, his father passing away not all too long ago. But, Drew, it's time for us to go through tonight's starting lineup, and starting on the pole is the number 47 machine of Chris Darling. He will be tonight's Sim Racing Shirts Pole Award winner around the Richmond Raceway. And starting to his outside will be the number 9 machine, James Arello, your winner from just a couple weeks ago at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, starting right up alongside of him. Row number 2, the number 971 machine, Nathan Maurer, will start on the inside, and the number 77, Doug Neal, your pole sitter from the Simbox 250 earlier this season, he'll be starting on the outside. Starting on the inside row, on the inside of row number 3, right behind him, on the inside, that is Joshua Sobel right there in that machine. To his outside, Ben Mashburn in the number 24. Good qualifying runs for both of them. Behind them is the number 50. That is Bill Edwards in the 48 machine of Matt Cherry, who has led just a huge number of laps so far this season, but yet to get to victory lane. We'll see whether or not he can do that tonight after overcoming an early penalty. Behind them and rounding out your top 5, is the number 2 of Justin White. To his outside, Andrew Himmelman in the number 4 machine there, Drew.
Absolutely. In P11, we have Doug Milner on his outside, kind of involved in some post-race fisticuffs Paul Bilson in that 51. Jeff Price will be starting behind him, P13 to his outside, and P14 will be Stan Houseman. Peter Serto in P15 with Jacob Schaffet in P16. Ben Adams, P17, a little bit lower than I was expecting from Ben Adams. I know he'll definitely try to be racing up front here before too long, with Jamar Dumas in 18th, Travis White in 19th, and TJ Buck rounding out your top 20.
Yeah, starting behind them is the number 62 machine of Colin Ullery, Joey Doucette on row number 12. Row number 12 back behind them, Michael Mooney and Chip Hansen. Row number 13 here tonight, Jeffrey Johnson Jr., who comes in tonight very well placed in points, but he's going to have to come from the back if he wants to get a good points night here tonight. Aaron Mack starting alongside him on row number 13. Tim Hammond and Brian Bradley will make up row number 14. And starting on, I think, the final spot here tonight, Nicholas Bradley in the number 40 machine. But it looks like 29 trucks here tonight, Drew, about to get set to go racing here at Richmond. It should be a fantastic race here tonight. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do on a short track, Drew, because we've seen a lot of mile and a half. We saw 2.5 mile Daytona to start the season here this year, but it's going to be fun to see what these guys can do on this 3/4 mile racetrack. It's a pace car pulls in. The green flag will be in the flagman's hand. Here comes the field. Green flag is in the air here at Richmond Raceway. 267 laps, 200 miles for this one here tonight.
We have Chris Darling starting on pole. Strong start. Quite a few car links between him and the outside pole sitter and James Zorello, who is battling that 971 truck of Nathan Maurer, trying to keep that second as the 971 washed to the track a bit, as we have 3 wides throughout the pack. We'll see how long they can maintain this. A bunch of aggressive driving early on, as now we see Matt Cherry coming down pit road for that penalty.
Yeah, both Cherry and Bilson electing to use their or get their penalty out of the way right at the start of this race. I don't blame them. There's still plenty of time for them to make it up. There is the winner from last week at Las Vegas. Jeff Price down there in the 9th position right now, trying to work his way up towards the front of the field. There's the number 88 machine a little bit further back. That's Michael Mooney. Started back in the field, running a little bit higher up the racetrack. And Drew, one of the things that it's going to be interesting to see here, as look at Bilson. He had to take that penalty. He's right in front of your race leader, on the cusp of falling 1 lap down. So now he's going to be in a little bit of defensive mode here in the early going.
Absolutely, as we have some close racing here between that 47 and trying to put that 51 a lap down. You're absolutely going to want to do that early on, right? Try to get these guys that might compete with you later a lap down. So I don't think Chris Darling's going to cut these guys any slack, right? They're the ones that essentially partook in the actions that have caused them to get this drive-through penalty. And so I fully expect Chris Darling to be kind of fairly ruthless here, and especially with that 48 truck. Matt Cherry's been so quick early on, as now we're focusing on Andrew Himmelman, that I definitely expect him to try to put Matt Cherry lap down and, keep a quick truck way, way behind you. As we're looking at this 4 truck here now in 7th position, already gained 3 spots here early on, now on lap 5. It's quite a heck of a start for Andrew Himmelman.
Yeah, definitely a great start. I mean, both the 4 and the 14 have both picked up quite a few spots. The 14, of course, Jeff Price, your winner from just a week ago. He's plus 4 positions. Of course, they are trying to get the Taz Racing Design's biggest mover of the race award here tonight, and the driver who picks up the most spots from where they start, will be the winner of that award here tonight. Great to have Taz Racing Customs on board all season long. You're looking at the number 30 there of Joshua Sobel. James Casterline in the chat saying, good luck, Sobel. Of course, he's also rooting against the Stars, so sorry your Flyers didn't make it this season there, James, but the Stars did. Hey, it's been 20 years since we were last in the Stanley Cup playoffs. As we have a caution that has come out here, trying to see who it is. Drew, do you have any indication of who might have brought out this yellow flag here in the early going?
Looking, and I have yet to see it. I'm doing my old pace car trick where I watch the pace car until the lights come on, and then I go around the field and try to find it, but I have yet to do that so far. No, I'm
I,
not
th-
seeing it, actually.
I think we might have found it. Well, I'll have to see. This is kind of a tough one. Yeah, we did find it. Here we go. So this is the number 87 machine, Chip Hansen on the outside of Dumas. And, oh, man, a little bit of net coat there on entry into the corner. Was that the number 35 machine who also got a piece of it? Chip Hansen there going around. We'll go back and see if we can get another look at this one. So this is them coming out of turn number 3 right here. I'm trying to see, is that the number 25 or is that the number 35? And there is that contact. It was the number 35 confirmed there, Aaron Mack. Let's see if we can get one more look at that, Drew, from possibly high atop our blimp cam, because I think you'll see here what we call netcode. And Drew, why didn't you explain netcode for some of the viewers here watching 3Y TV for possibly the first time?
Absolutely. So what we're going to see here is the trucks don't actually make contact, right? There's still space between those trucks. But unfortunately, due to imperfect internet connections, right, iRacing doesn't always have the exact precise location of the truck correct and relay that information to the other drivers exactly right. So sometimes you're still going to have a little bit of gap between, but because those trucks aren't exactly rendering where iRacing thinks they are due to packet loss, various other kind of internet intricacies, you can get this net coding where iRacing thinks you've made contact with the vehicle next to you, but you actually did not make physical contact. It's really unfortunate for those involved, right? I mean, that was certainly aggressive, but I think had that net code not happened, I don't think they would have actually made contact and there would have been an incident.
Yeah, I kind of have a tendency to agree. I mean, sometimes you can just be on the wrong end of netcode. There are times where netcode goes into your favor, though. I mean, you can kind of, on occasion, drive through another car, and if the internet connection isn't quite perfect, you can just basically plow right through them without getting any damage. But unfortunately, here for the number 87 of Chip, looks like he is going to have some rear end damage. There he is running that Gamecocks number 87 machine. He's going to come down pit road here just to get a little bit more damage repaired on that race machine. Right behind Aaron Mack. Looks like Mack's going to take a little bit of a drive through here as well. Got to give a big shout out to NSRAcares.com here under this caution. If you're kind of feeling like a giving soul here tonight, NSRA have put together their NSRAcares.com website where you can go online and donate to the Ronald McDonald House for Cancer Charities. Give them a little bit of money for the charity purpose. They did have a league goal of $1,000 this season, so hopefully you can help them make that goal. Garrett Gleason checking in, saying Chris Darling fan club checking in. Well, good news for you, Garrett. The number 47 machine is out front as the pace car lights here do turn off. So we're going to get set to go back to green flag racing. That's what that means here in Just Alive. You can see how your field will line up for this green flag. The top 17 trucks elected to stay out here, Drew. Jeff Price, Michael Mooney, Peter Sertel, and company a little bit further back electing to come down pit road under that pit stop. Some of them taking 4 fresh tires, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that plays out. But drivers like Chris Darling, Nathan Maurer, and co. up at the front, they just elected to keep that track position, and I can't blame them there, Drew, as pace cars off.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are coming to the green, Chris Darling with a great jump there on the outside. It's so hard to kind of see that truck next to you if you're restarting second on the inside, right? You're not only waiting on that leader to go, but you're kind of looking further away, right? It's not right next to you, so it can be harder to judge that. But great jump by Chris Darling. Yeah, I'm interested to see how much of a difference those tires made. There was basically no fall off that run. They went from 22 twos to 22 twos. So I don't think that that's going to have a huge advantage, but maybe as these tires start to get in later into their life cycle, maybe that will make a little bit of a difference. We shall see.
Yeah, we'll have to see as the field here racing by the backstretch camera. Definitely some great camera angles. Got to give a big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for these camera angles here tonight. Oh man, that's the number 28 machine there, just a little bit down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Looks like he's going to get things gathered back up. But I'll tell you what, back up at the front of the field, it is still Chris Darling. Ben Mashburn in the number 24 machine, he was able to get around Nathan Maurer. He was also able to get around James Lorello, I think, on this restart. So that Sunkist number 24 machine now looking like he is getting pretty racy here in the early portion of the race. So a long way to go, 251 laps around this joint here tonight, still in the books. And now, all of a sudden, Mashburn under fire from Maurer once again. So this battle for second, Drew, is really allowing Chris Darling up at the front to really check out in that number 47 machine. You can see a look out back of him, and that's exactly what he wants to see in his rearview mirror. It just kind of allows him to set his rhythm here. Because you and I know, Drew, we've raced here many times. This is a rhythm racetrack.
Yeah, really, it's one of those where I don't love it on the short run, right? Where you're just kind of trying to reestablish those marks, right? Because like the track changed a little bit, and sometimes you kind of have to adjust where you're going in, your turning point, your braking point, etc. Oh, as we have another caution, the 2 truck back there into the wall with the 23.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and catch this one on the replay because we saw that happen. I saw on the relative that these trucks were really close to one another, and they go off into the corner. It looks like the number 2 might have been held up by the number 6 in front of him. Went up the racetrack just a little bit, definitely a little bit of a nudge there between the 2 and the number 23, Justin White and Travis White's. A couple of the white trucks, and oh man, that's the number 40 machine, Nicholas Bradley, right there at the back end of that, getting into the side of that number 23 machine. We'll go back and catch another, oh, there's that contact. You see it right there. Well, let's see if we can go back and ride on board, possibly with this number 40 machine. And this is a really hard track to see. Oh, gets into the back of Hausman, and boom, just like that. I'll tell you what, Drew, probably from the driver's view, you could not see that there was a stopped race truck in front of him.
It's one of those deals where, I mean, the guys in front of him check up. In these trucks, these spoilers are so tall that you can't really see through them. You're sitting up a little bit compared to some of the other oval stuff, but it's still really difficult to see through, especially kind of when you're coming out of a corner like that. And then I think once he kind of had that contact with the truck in front of him that slowed down before he did, that kind of sent him in a trajectory into that stopped car. It's really unfortunate for that 40 truck.
And you see some more takers here on pit road this time. All the trucks that came down pit road last time, well, they're going to stay out. And then all of these trucks just coming down pit road for the first time here tonight. The number 2 machine is, of course, going to be sitting in his pit box for just a little while longer, getting some of that damage repaired. But that is going to give the race lead to this man right here, your winner from last week at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Jeff Price. Jamar Dumas, or Dumas, not 100% sure how you say his name. Hopefully he can correct us as the season goes on. This is, of course, only the 3rd or 4th I think this is the 4th, maybe the 5th broadcast, something like that, here for 3 Wide TV and the National Sim Racing Association. But Drew, these drivers have put on an absolute show in the first few races. So if you are currently watching and you missed out on one of the first few races, you can go watch them anytime you want to. Turn them on, listen to them at work, do whatever you need to, because they've put on an absolute show, some stellar finishes. Every single race has kept me on the edge of my seat all the way to the end. These guys know how to put on a show for the fans here on 3 Wide TV, with a little bit of 3 wide action thrown in every once in a while. We've already seen that here once or twice tonight at Richmond. But pace car lights have turned off here once again, Drew, so quickie yellows here at Richmond. Of course, I don't think we had a car 1 lap down until now. Travis White in the number 23 machine has fallen a lap down, and Nicholas Bradley in the number 40 machine, I'm trying to see, I think he might have taken that number 40 machine to the garage, and as you can see from the blimp cam, I'm not seeing the number 40 machine, so looks like the number 40 machine, well, he might be done for the night here, Drew. That's a tough break here in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost better to have that happen on lap 20 than lap 220 of 267, right? Where you spend all this time working really hard and you essentially get the same result as if you crashed on lap 20. But I think as we go back green here, Jeff Price taking him to the green flag. Great restart from him. One guy that I think had a huge benefit from this, that had a penalty, had a drive-through with on the 1st or 2nd lap, Matt Cherry up into 5th position. So much pace early on. and this really benefited him. He was able to keep from going a lap down, and now he's up into the top 5, and I definitely think he'll be expecting to move up fighting for this lead before too long. But let's talk about Jeff Price, last week's winner. Heck of a restart here, looking really quick out front. Got about a half a second, 0.6 of a second, maybe a little more over Jamar Dumas. And then Matt Price moving, or rather Matt Cherry moving up into 3rd place, passing that 88 of Michael Newman.
Man, we got an absolute shot of that number 87 machine. Once again, having some heavy contact with the outside wall. Chip Hansen already had a little bit of a tough break earlier on in the race with a little bit of contact in there. Looks like he got a good piece of the outside retaining wall coming out of turn number 2 last time by. But one driver I'm really keeping my eye on here, Drew, is this man right here, the number 47 machine of Chris Darling, because I'll tell you what, that number 47 machine of Darling, he's moving up through the field. He restarted a little bit further back for where he is now. He's been making moves here, trying to go to the outside of Mac, not able to do so. Slots back in line with the 25 of Tim Hammond to his outside. Almost contact between those two. And they're going to get things sorted out here coming out onto the front stretch. Oh, contact. That was the number 77 machine going for a slide a little bit further back. Doug Neal, he's still trying to save it. And looks like he's going to go around right in front of TJ Buck. And he's into the inside wall. But Drew, this was a very, very long accident here happening. Let's go back and watch this replay. Tell us what happened.
Oh, huge contact from 84 early on. It looks like that 77 was saved, but it's kind of one of those deals where I guarantee you that whole time he's fighting that truck. And then unfortunately, just right on the exit as the banking falls away, you're not able to kind of use that banking to save that truck, and it just slips out from under Doug Neal. That's really unfortunate. I know it looks like he has it saved, but I guarantee you if we could see his wheel on his rig, whatever deal he has on, I guarantee you he's sawing at that thing trying to keep it straight. And then, man, that's a ton of contact. I mean, that was a heck of a job fighting it for as long as he did. But yeah, there it goes. And then 84 able to not make contact with him. It's just unfortunate that he just tagged the inside wall in that 77.
Yeah, let's go back and see if we can actually see what happened to the 77 machine on board. And there's that initial contact. You could watch that right at the very bottom of your screen. You can see this the steering wheel move. And he's just kind of still saving it, still trying to save it. And unfortunately, right there at the end, you can see those gloves go across the bottom of the screen. Just not quite able to save it. Hello there, TJ Buck. And unfortunately, made some contact with the inside wall as well. So tough break there for one of the drivers who definitely has been very strong here in the early going portion of the season. But if you're just now joining us, well, we're bringing up the race summary. This is the 3rd caution that we've had so far here tonight. They're opening 30 laps or so. 2 lead changes here tonight. I'll tell you what, it's kind of felt like more. The number 47 machine of Chris Darling has led the most laps here in the early portion of the race. Jeff Price, Matt Cherry, your only other lap leaders, as you can see up there at the top of the screen there. But Drew, I think a couple of these drivers now, well, for the 48 of Cherry, he's kind of erased that penalty he had early on. You have to keep that in mind. Remember, he had that drive-through at the start of the race. But, some of these drivers here, probably a little bit further back, they're probably just thinking, man, we just need to get some laps in now.
Yeah, one thing that kind of happened that we didn't see is now we're focused on him. The 51, Paul Belson, unfortunately fell out and has now subsequently rejoined 8 laps down for that 51 truck. Though, it sounds like a big number. I think we will definitely see 8 more cautions. I mean, I would be surprised if we didn't, right? These short tracks tend to kind of, if you have one, you keep having them until you kind of, have the field sparsing out a little bit. But yeah, I think there is a decent chance that he'll be able to make up these 8 laps, especially considering he is the first truck that is at more than 1 lap down, right? There's no other trucks a lap down in front of him. So he will receive a lucky dog if we get a quick caution as this 971 truck is kind of flying up through the field. Not sure what this is about.
Yeah, he came to a halt there on the inside of the racetrack. He's trying to get himself back up in line where iRacing is going to have him restart. The pace car lights are still on, so we're going to go at least an extra lap here under this caution flag. I think the lights actually might have turned off, but because the 971 was stopped on the racetrack, iRacing might have extended the yellow flag just one more lap. Garrett Gleason says, hey Peter, if you started now 23 laps down, how quickly would you be able to get to the lead? I would have to need about 23 caution flags, I think, there, G. It would take quite a bit. Dave Atkinson rooting on Andrew Himmelman, Tana Himmelman, of course, says hoping Drew does well tonight. Yesterday was his dad, Mike Himmelman's birthday. He would have been 41. We actually have a collage here tonight of Andrew Himmelman and his father, Mike Himmelman. A couple of pictures there kind of showing the father-son love, and definitely a heartbreak when he passed away. Great to see these pictures and having this race here tonight in memoriam of him. We'll bring up these pictures again a little bit later in the broadcast, but definitely a very special night for the number 4 machine, who finds himself back in the 13th position. But Drew, the green flag here is back up in the air, and currently Matt Cherry, who's led up pretty much about half of the season so far, he's in the lead once again.
Absolutely, but I think the truck that we have seen display the most pace tonight in that 47 of Chris Darling, he is right behind him now. As we have contact going into 3, that will definitely be another caution.
Yeah, that's the number 88 machine. We'll go back and see if we can see what happened here on the 3-wide TV replay. So this is coming down the back stretch. It happened in turn number 3. Nathan Maurer there in the 971. Oh, Mashburn there taking it 3 wide really late. There was a little bit of contact, and that number 88 machine went around. Oh, Ullery involved. The 61 machine also getting a piece of that. Joey Doucette. So a couple of trucks here picking up damage in this one. But Drew, I think that was probably one of those things where they went 3 wide, perhaps just a little bit too late, as we see this one from the blunt cam. What are your thoughts?
I mean, so here we see both the 971 and the 24 simultaneously get a run, and I just can't remember seeing 3 wide going into 3 ever work. It's not on any one driver, in my opinion, on this deal. I think it's on all 3 of them for putting themselves 3 wide. Any one of them, I think, if they would have backed out, because guess what? You're not going to win the race on lap 34, 35, then that incident would have been avoided. Just kind of unnecessary aggression from at least the passing trucks. I don't know what the 88's really supposed to do in that situation. I think he gave the 971 quite a bit of room, and then he just got tagged in the left rear as we're looking from that 24 truck. Yeah, that's unfortunate, especially because he's the one that ended up with all the damage, right? It's not the 2 guys who kind of put him in that 3 wide situation.
Yeah, here we go. One more look at it, and oh, yeah, just a little bit of contact. I doubt the 88 ever got the call from his spotter that he was 3 wide, and ultimately that led to that one. But definitely a little bit of a tough break here for a couple of trucks, but I don't think they have all too much damage, so I think they will be able to get back up. However, Drew, this man right here, Paul Bilson, well, we were mentioning he was 8 laps down. Well, now I believe he's only 7 laps down in that number 51 machine. So he is your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution. First time we have been able to pull that graphic out here tonight and display it. Got to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital, located in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. So if you're in that area, make sure you check out Brookstone Animal Hospital for all of your pet animal hospital needs. But Drew, once again, this is the I think this is what, the 4th caution of the night now here in the early going. Definitely not exactly what these drivers wanted to see, especially after all that green flag running that we had last week at Las Vegas, and all the green flag running that we had at Atlanta.
Yeah, I think it's definitely disappointing after seeing that long green run at basically the 2 non-restrictor plate tracks early on, but I don't think it's unexpected. Richmond is when you have 29 guys starting the race, it's going to be a tall order, a tall ask rather of these drivers to be able to put 200 clean laps together like we saw at Las Vegas. So it's not surprising. I think we have seen a little bit of unnecessary aggression, as was demonstrated in that previous wreck. But it's Richmond. It can be hard to pass when the green flag run kind of goes on. So you got to maximize these opportunities to pass early on these restarts. So it's understandable why these guys feel the need to be so aggressive.
Absolutely. Well, we're on board right here with your current race leader. You can see the weather down there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. 80 degrees Fahrenheit air temp here tonight. Track temperature just a little bit above that due to these hot tires, putting a little bit of friction into the racetrack. Actually heats up the racetrack a little bit. That is realistic. Let's see if we can ride on board with your current race leader, the number 48 machine of Matt Cherry for this restart. Gets on the loud pedal, and we are back green flag racing here at the beautiful Richmond Raceway as the field spreads out, going off into turn number 1. Looks like Cherry got a pretty good jump over the number 47 machine, but they're side by side a little bit further back. And I think, Drew, at least what I'm seeing right now is some gaps developing in this field. I think some of these drivers might be kind of realizing, man, we've had all of these caution flags. We just need to settle down and ride here for a little bit. Let's get some green flag running in. Let's avoid that contact. Let's get to the end. There's still over 200 laps here to go. Still plenty of time to get your way up to the front. And speaking of getting up to the front, how about this number 30 machine of Joshua Sobel here tonight, Drew? He's been one of those drivers who's, he's been flirting with a top 10 in the couple of mile-and-a-half races that we've had this season. Definitely seems like Sobel's a little bit of a short track guy.
Yeah, I think this is the furthest up we've seen this 30 truck kind of run at one of these races so far. Heck of a display of pace by Joshua Sobel, as he is definitely keeping pace with, I think, two of the guys that have shown either a ton of speed at this race or a ton of speed essentially early in this season. As the 48 truck gets really loose off of 2. I saw that 48 truck in practice, Matt Cherry, getting really, really loose out of 2, having quite a few problems out of the corner, just being really, really aggressive. He's really quick. But, I mean, it just takes one tiny slip up on the exit of these corners for you to go around. And you're going to see a ton of counter steer here real late on as that track really flattens out and falls out from under you.
Yeah, that was a spectacular save for that number 48 machine. He still continues to be your race leader, but I love that view there, Drew, because you could definitely see those hands go to work as here comes Chris Darling. Speaking of going to work, he's going to work for the race lead, drops down to the bottom of the number 48 machine, so the number 47 will lead the number 48 in sequential order right there now on the racetrack. But look at Joshua Sobel there. Just talking about him a minute ago, he's going to go for the second position. He's going to take it just like that. So Cherry goes from first to third in pretty much one fell swoop.
Yeah, the 48 got a little high through 1 and 2, maybe got his tires a little dirty up in those marbles, and then 3 and 4 definitely was very high. No real possible defense from that 48 truck. Because now we're looking a little bit further back here with that 6 truck battling TJ Buck. TJ Buck looks like he's probably going to fall back a little bit, lose a position to Andrew Himmelman here in that 4. Yeah, Andrew Himmelman certainly has the advantage going into the corner. 84, pretty far up the track. Going to try to keep it to his outside late. I think that 84 truck just kind of struggling a little bit right now as he's fallen through the field. As now last week's winner of the 14, Jeff Price, is making a move on him. Maybe he can kind of level out here, try to regroup, and keep from falling further back.
Yeah, now he's going to fall into the clutches of the number 50 machine. See if we can bring up the laps since they last pitted up there at the top of the screen. You see Matt Cherry, it's been 38 laps since he was last on pit road. Jeff Price, he pitted just 18 laps ago. And so we will see here tonight, Drew, that fresh tires do matter around this racetrack. This is a very tricky racetrack, not only on your right front, but also on your rear tires because of the fact that very easy to get wheel spin up off these corners.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a ton of drop-off for 5-10 laps. Like we saw the 48 truck really have the same amount of pace as the 2 guys in front of them, and Josh Sobel and Chris Darling. It's once those tires start to get further in their wear cycle where I think that difference is really going to show itself. Right? Like once the new essentially kind of started to really rub off of that 48's tires, we saw him really not be able to keep the apex speed of the 47 and the 30. And now he hasn't fallen back a ton, but he definitely is not able to carry that same corner speed of Chris Darling and Joshua Sobel.
Yeah, definitely. Sobel still hot on the heels of Darling. We'll have to keep an eye on that battle. But looking a little bit further back, here comes last week's race winner, Jeff Price, trying to look to the inside of Doug Milliner. A late lunge. They're going into turn number 3. We saw that not work out a couple laps ago when they were 3 wide. But this time, the number 14 machine going to be able to duck back in. But now has he put himself into the clutches of Bill Edwards, as we're seeing TJ Buck continuing to drop back. There comes Jamar Dumas in the number 28 Haviland machine, now getting himself back up into the top 10. So definitely some drivers here, you know, here around the 10th position, starting to have kind of a breakout run. And Drew, we've mentioned that this is the first time we've seen these drivers on a short track all season, and some drivers just prefer racing on short tracks. They're short track drivers, and we'll definitely see the different strengths of different drivers all season long here in the National Sim Racing Association Simbox Truck Series. Got to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Simbox. If you are a sim racer and you need a button box, go check out Simbox, because Simbox make a very affordable quality product for button boxes. A lot of button boxes that you find out there, they're overpriced, they're too expensive for what they are. Simbox gives you something at a cost-effective price that works just as well as any other button box out there. So definitely go check them out on Facebook, get them a like, get them or hit them up. They even do custom button boxes. So if there's something in mind that you want to get, go check them out as we continue to watch this battle between the number 25 machine, Tim Hammond, as, that's Aaron Mack there just flirting with the outside while throwing up some sparks off the right side of his Toyota Tundra. Mack currently running back in the 14th position. Looks like that battle is going to sort itself out. Up at the front, though, Drew, Chris Darling, while we've been focusing on those battles back there, he is checking out up to a 1.2 second lead right now.
Yeah, he's about 0.3 quicker than Joshua Sobel last time by. I wonder if Sobel pushed a little too hard early on, right? Because we saw him actually close in on Chris Darling and Matt Cherry early in the run. And now, let's see, last time by, Chris Darling at 22.88, Joshua Sobel at 23.11. So yeah, another 0.3. Chris Darling definitely seems to have kept his tires in a little bit better condition, taking a little bit better care of them, and is definitely reaping those rewards now as another 0.3 of a second, up to 1.5 between Chris Darling and Joshua Sobel. Actually, Matt Cherry starting to close back in on that 30 truck as well, who has 10 laps older tires. That definitely leads me to believe is Lorello looking on the 48 truck, as we are still riding on board with that 30, I believe. Oh, no, James Lorello. I think Lorello, he's actually been the only driver that's really come close to Chris Darling's pace these last 3 or 4 laps. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that 9 truck move up into P2 before too long.
Yeah, definitely Lorello here starting to make some noise. If you're looking over there at the left-hand side of your screen, we see that a couple of trucks have fallen a lap down, including the 00 machine of Jacob Schaffet. So for drivers like Bilson, who finds himself 7 laps down, that's not what he wants to see. He wants to be the first car 1 or more laps down. But now some more trucks going a lap down, including this man right here, the number 16 of Brian Bradley. He's going to be the first car 1 lap down. So that gives us 23 cars on the lead lap as James Lorello, folks, he just took away that second position. Let's go back and see this one on the 3-wide TV replay. Setting up the number 30 of Sobel right here. Let's see if we can just see what happened here. Looks like he's just going to get a run coming out of turn number 2. Drops down to the bottom. We've seen this pass quite a few times here tonight. Great job there by Lorello. Hugs that yellow line. Rolls the bottom of the racetrack nice and neatly. He is going to get himself up into the second position here. And now we'll have to see whether or not he can close in as we're back live on the number 47 of Darling. But 2.5 seconds between the 47 and the 9 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think Chris Darling's one of his kind of strengths as a driver is he tends to really excel on the long runs. He's certainly displayed that, early this season in this Simbox Truck Series. So it'll be interesting. Lorello actually about 1/10 quicker that last time by, but Chris Darling is dealing with very, very heavy lap traffic that Lorello will soon be dealing with as well. So I could see this lead kind of maybe leading you to believe that maybe Lorello's a little quicker, maybe not, as we have another caution out on track.
Caution is out. I think it actually might have just happened in front of your race leader. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what happened here. And I think we figured it out. So here we are coming out of turn number 3. A little bit of contact. 87 in the 2. A couple of trucks that have already been involved in an accident here tonight. And the number 87 of Hansen going for a big slide down there through the grass. But Drew doesn't look like he's going to have all too much damage. But that was the number 2 of Justin White and Hansen there coming together.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the second caution that we've seen Chip Hansen get involved in, I think what we're going to see here is that 23 truck's expecting that 87 to kind of bring it further, or rather that 2 truck, a little further out towards the wall, and the 87 kind of pinches it down on exit, and that 2 just not quite expecting that, gets into his left side. And luckily for the 87, though, unlike that first caution that he was involved in, he is not going to really sustain any damage that I think will hamper him.
Yeah, I definitely agree here, but looks like we got a whole bunch of people on pit road. Here is your race leader, the number 47 machine. He is going to be down and away here. We'll see how everyone else comes off of pit road here. Man, a gaggle of trucks a little bit further back. There's the number 6. So 4 wide almost there. Ben Adams and Andrew Himmelman there right in the middle. A couple of the other trucks working their way off pit road. So definitely going to be interesting to see how everything lines up here in just a little bit. But it looks like Darling going to pretty much easily win the race off pit road. James Morello coming out second. Joshua Sobel in third. And that might be what the doctor ordered for Sobel right there, because it looked like you mentioned there, Drew, his tires possibly might have been hurting. But the good news is now Joshua Sobel has Rich Sobel in the chat. He said that he was hit from Hurricane Sally there in Pensacola. Rich, hopefully everything is all well with you. Hopefully all your household and your belongings and all that, and hopefully it's just internet. Internet we can live without. Some people might not say we can these days, but we can live without internet as long as all your personal belongings are A-OK. Rich, hope all is well with you. Good news is that man right there, Joshua Sobel, up running inside the top 3 here. Definitely been a good night here for him, Drew, and we'll have to see whether or not he can keep that going, as we now just have about 200 laps to go next time by.
Yeah, I know this is definitely what that 30 truck needed. I think his tires had really started to fade, and you know what? That's going to provide him a lesson. Luckily, he was kind of bailed out by that caution, but I think he's going to learn, hey, man, I need to take better care of my tires. I think he was going to really start fading. But no harm, no foul, right? That's what you kind of need to do early in those races when you think that there might be some more cautions. This is the time to kind of push the truck, see what happens, see if those tires hold up. And now he knows, I think I need to take it a little bit easier early in these runs so I have some more speed later in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have Dave Atkinson in the chat as well, asking, are all the iRaces on such a short track? 3/4 of a mile seems really tight. I usually watch Formula 1. Stay safe from the hurricane and the fires, everyone. Yeah, Dave, so iRacing actually has a lot of racetracks. It's got a lot of oval racetracks all the way from half mile, even shorter than a half mile in some of them. It's got dirt ovals, but then, of course, it's got all the road course side. In fact, one of the big updates here recently was an update to the McLaren MP430 Formula 1 car, one of the Honda engined for McLarens. Did I say Ferrari? Yeah, and McLaren. I would be absolutely destroyed for that in the UK. But anyway, they have Formula 1 cars in iRacing too, Formula 3 cars as well, and a lot of the Formula 1 racetracks, Silverstone, Barcelona, and many others being added all the time. I think they recently got Hockenheim. So definitely check out iRacing. Got a lot to offer, not just ovals like we're seeing here tonight, but to definitely putting on a good show. The number 47 of Chris Darling back up to the front is here as we are back to green here, Drew. And look at the 48 machine of Cherry. He's going around right in front of the field, and that's the worst place to be. The field trying to scatter everywhere. Oh, I think that was Mac. Oh, I think that was Doug Neal. A couple of trucks there right at the end. That's the worst place to spin, right in front of the field. Drew, almost reminds me of that Formula 1 accident that we had a week or two ago on that restart back at Mugello.
That's pretty much the worst place to park your truck. I think once that 48 probably honestly would have been better off just spinning to the inside and maybe hitting the wall, because he was clobbered by 2 trucks. As we're going to see Matt Cherry here. Yep, this is what he did in practice quite a few times, just a little too aggressive with the throttle, and then throws it, corrects too hard, throws it back up the track, and then 1, 2 trucks smash into one. That's unfortunate. I believe one of those was the 77 of Doug Neal. That's definitely unfortunate for him. But, man, that 48 truck took 2 big hits. We'll see how his truck holds up after those.
Yeah, we go on board here with the number 24 machine of Ben Mashburn, who also had a moment. Watch the number 48 Lowe's machine out front. He's a couple of trucks ahead on the high side. He gets loose, but Mashburn does the same thing. He gets loose, but he ends up into the inside wall. You see him try and save it, unable to do so. Now let's go back and see what happened to the number 48 machine and kind of compare what we just saw with the number 24 with the 48. Here he is getting through the center of the corner, gets back to the throttle, just as Carlos Acosta, the main producer here on 3Y TV, would say, too much beans on that number 48 machine, and you can see that truck just stopped completely sideways, and it's a sit and duck at that point.
Those kind of hapless feelings, right? Where you're just like, oh, please don't let me get hit. Please don't let me get hit. And boom, 1, boom, 2. And I think that's probably, I mean, it's going to end Matt Cherry's competitive stint for this race. I imagine, I can't, like, it would be hard to believe that 48 truck would, I mean, he'll be able to continue because iRacing, I think, is a little more forgiving with their damage model than that would be in real life. In real life, that 48 truck would absolutely be done. The rear end would be torn off of it. But I think he'll probably be able to continue, but I can't imagine he'll be on pace. And you certainly, like, I when I'm leading, which is not that common, but when it is happening and I have one of my close competitors get into a wreck, it's kind of like a conflicted feeling, right? And I'm sure this is what Chris Darling's feeling, because number one, this really, gave me a good opportunity, but I also don't want to beat somebody because they wrecked. I want to beat them because I'm faster than them. But I think this has to kind of solidify Chris Darling and his chances to win, because I think one of the quickest trucks out there just removed himself from this competition.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether or not Matt Cherry can get himself back. Now, the good news here, Drew, about that number 48 machine is he is only 1 lap down. He did fall a lap down here under this caution. Unfortunately, not 100% sure who the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution was, as we were watching that big accident that happened on the backstretch. We are, I believe, down to 20 trucks on the lead lap. A couple of trucks still sitting on pit road. We do see the number 5 machine of Ben Adams right there. Ben Adams was one of the trucks that received damage under that caution. Looks like the number 24 machine of Ben Mashburn. You remember, he spun into the inside wall about the same time we saw the 48 go around. Doesn't look like all too much damage on that number 24 machine. And Drew, I think that goes to your point, where, maybe Cherry should have just spun it into the inside wall, and he might have been okay, but now he finds himself 1 lap down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the good things from that, as far as definitely a 48-centric point of view, is I think iRacing tends to be a lot more forgiving with damage to the rear of the vehicles rather than the front. And I think the front of that 48 truck's pretty clean. We'll have to see how his competitiveness goes as we are coming back to the green flag. 47, Chris Darling, pedal to the floor. Great restart from that 47 truck as he will lead the field back to green here on lap 75.
Yeah, definitely a good restart for that number 47 machine as he gets a good launch out of the gates. The number 9 machine right behind him. But, are we back under caution? We are back under caution. And we're going to figure out what happened here, because we weren't green for very long. Yeah, Drew, trying to figure out what might have brought out this caution, because this one definitely was very early. I'm not 100% sure where it happened. Oh, I know where it happened. All right, folks, so this is actually coming back to the green flag, and the number 28 machine, Dumas, was just trying to catch the field a little bit too much. We saw he had a little bit of gap to the cars in front of him, just spinning it around, bringing out the caution here. So all these drivers, they just got up to speed. Drivers like the 47 of Darling thought he'd got himself a good restart. Well, folks, he's going to have to do it all again here in just a little bit, but we will get one more look on board with the number 28 machine here, Drew, and just, again, too much beans, as Carlos Acosta would say.
It's definitely one of the more embarrassing things that you can do. I have certainly done it before, and I probably will do it again. But yeah, it's not something that you want to do. But I gotta say, that 28 truck, it definitely goes to show you don't need a ton of fancy graphics to make a good-looking truck. That is an outstanding paint scheme, kind of Davey Allison-esque. That's a really, really cool scheme on that 28.
Well, while we're back up at the front, TJ Buck right there. Captain Crunch Machine will be your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog winner this caution, so we're able to catch this one. And looks like he's going to get himself back on the lead lap. Be 16 trucks now on the lead lap as TJ works his way around the racetrack. And Drew, you went back to the point about leniency and the leniency iRacing has with damage on these race machines. Is, oh man, was that the number 28 machine slow down there? Is he having some issues getting to pit road? Not 100% sure. Looks like he's back under fire if he did lose the ignition there just a little bit. But, you know, we see drivers like TJ Buck out there. This is a short track. And Drew, you don't need a lot of aerodynamics on a short track. You're going about 125, 135 or so in the corners. Yeah, that's still fast, folks. But not like Atlanta Motor Speedway where you're going 170 miles an hour all the way around that racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. The only place that might be a little bit better is Martinsville than Richmond. I think even Bristol you would be more penalized because you're carrying pretty insane speeds for the size track that Bristol is. One thing of note, Paul Bilson really hasn't benefited from these rash of cautions because basically prior to this, the leaders put just enough guys one lap down to where we're kind of whittling down these 1 lap down, 2 lap down trucks. Paul Bilson's still 7 down. He's probably going to have to stay out on one of these deals, one of these cautions when the leaders come down pit road. I think that would be one of his strategies to get back up there. Started P12, definitely has a good pace in that 51 truck that we have seen throughout this early part of the season. But he's going to take some creative strategy to get himself back on the lead lap and try to, you know, get back up there into the solidly into the top 10.
Yeah, I agree that he's definitely going to have to use that wave around. I know here at Richmond, I myself have ended up almost in the exact same position as Paul Bilson. I fell out of a race here once upon a time racing in the trucks, the NASCAR trucks, and same thing happened. I was many laps down, and I was able to use the wave around lucky dogs to get myself pretty much back at the lead lap. I didn't get back to the lead lap at the end of the race, but it was like a 140 lap race or so. So it can be done. He just kind of has, like you said, kind of things stacked against him right now. So I think using those wave arounds would be a good option. And if you're not aware of the wave around rule, it basically means all the other trucks in front of you pit, and if you become the first car behind the pace car, then you actually get waved around before we go back to green flag racing. But speaking of going back to green flag racing, the green flag is back in the air. Hopefully it can stay green here for a little bit longer than it did last time. But the number 47 machine, once again, Chris Darling out to a pretty good jump. James Lorello running in second, but we have a side-by-side battle back behind him. That's Jeff Price, the winner from Vegas, doing battle with Joshua Sobel to his outside.
Absolutely, Joshua Sobel, not the best restart, not horrible, but we really haven't seen the high lane be able to be as competitive as I think we typically see here at Richmond. I'm not quite sure why, just doesn't seem to have the grip. And I think Sobel in that 30 truck, as he's able to slot back in, I was about to say, if you can't get back down to the bottom from what we've seen tonight, I think you're going to be one of those deals where almost like old Bristol, where if you get hung up on the outside, you lose position after position after position. Like every corner, you lose a spot. But he's able to get back down there as that we are now looking back at this 39 truck, 28, slow on the apron.
Yeah, that is Jamar Dumas again, which is a shame because he had such a strong run going in the first half of this race. Let's see if we can go back and see what might have happened to him. And there actually might have been something that actually happened in front of him. Got a quick glimpse of this here. Let's see if we can see what happened. Oh, the 00 machine went around, and this did not bring out a caution. He went going down into the grass, in contact with the inside wall again. He was able to get back going, but the big question is going to be here if we can figure out what happened to Jacob Shoffett, because Jacob Shoffett, unfortunately, doesn't look like we can get a replay on the 00 machine here. But something happened to Shoffett there that caused that accordion effect, and it looked like maybe even the 48 of Matt Cherry was involved again. But the 28 truck coming out the big loser in that one. He is still out there on the racetrack, but now finds himself 2 laps down.
Yeah, I believe the 28 truck smacked in as we have a truck stop backwards on the backstretch. Not sure what that was about, but that 28 truck actually impacted the back of Matt Cherry. So whatever damage Matt Cherry had fixed, I think that was basically undone by that 28 truck not being able to slow down in time. I think we're going to try to find what happened to that truck that was stopped backwards on the inside lane as the leaders went by.
Yeah, let's see. I think it was maybe the 16. Oh, yes, it was the number 16 machine of Brian Bradley who had a little bit of a moment there on this 3-wide TV replay. Looks like he's just going to jump off the racetrack, take a tow back to pit road. That might be the end of the night for that number 16 machine. But up at the front, Chris Darling still continuing to pull away. He's up to 0.8 of a second lead. But what about the number 6 machine of Doug Milliner, Drew? We haven't really mentioned Milliner so far, but he's closed right in on the back bumper of Lorello here in the early portion of this run. But this run is over because caution flag is back in the air. And I think this is another one happening on the back stretch. Here we go. Let's watch this one. This is Chip Hansen again. And Drew, it looks like he's had a target on his back all race long because here he goes again. Contact with the number 23 of, I believe, that's Travis White, I believe. And, oh, my goodness, look at the 48 of Cherry. Jeez Louise, that number 48 machine, have you ever seen a tank slapper like that one before, Drew? We're going to have to go by, man, we have to see this one from on board the number 28 machine because watch this all happen in front of him. This is epic avoidance. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that is a heck of a job by that 48 truck. Wow. I'm sure he wished he was saving a clean truck. But it's definitely better than having a destroyed truck. And I think if he would have impacted one of those stop trucks on the backstretch, that would have probably been game over for the 48. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That's the third incident that we have seen Chip Hansen be involved in. And this time, totally not of his doing. Looks like as we are queuing up the replay, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys as we're trying to queue it up. I'd love to kind of, I think I really figured out kind of what happened here. And I'd love to give the viewers a little bit of insight.
Yeah, let's see if we can dial this one up. I'm trying to fix but some other little gremlins here on 3-wide TV. But yeah, let's see if we can give this from the blimp cam here, Drew. Here we are on the front stretch. So Drew, why don't you talk him through this?
I think the 28 truck had a little bit more pace than both the 23 and the 87 in front of them. And as we're going to see, they're going into turn 3. The 28 and the 23 are both going to carry quite a bit more momentum than the 87. And they're going to kind of stack up here on corner exit right, each in a different lane. But then the 28 truck just gets in the back of the 23, and then the 23, while basically in the process of spinning, tags that 87 truck, and then all three lose control in the backstretch, causing a caution. And oh my goodness, that was a heck of a move by that 48 truck. I'm surprised that number one, he avoided that stop truck on the outside. I believe it was the 87. And number two, that he didn't crash because he was avoiding that truck stopped on the outside lane. That is a heck of a job by the 48.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Great move. Now, we did have some takers on pit road, including most of the field. The one driver who has not come down pit road is the number 24 machine of Ben Mashburn. And Drew, right up there at the top of the screen, the number 51 machine of Paul Bilson. He was one car away from getting the wave around. And unfortunately, because Mashburn stayed out, the 51 of Bilson was not the first truck behind the pace car. And so he relinquishes his opportunity to pit, and he doesn't get the wave around. So kind of a lose-lose there for the number 51, unfortunately. But like you said, he's going to have to try and get some laps back with the wave around. Not really the lucky dog anymore, as I do believe. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know who was the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution, unfortunately. But the good news is, folks, is it looks like we're back up to about 20 trucks on the lead lap. It looks like that man right there, Matt Cherry, is the last car on the lead lap. The first car multiple laps down is actually right now. That man right there, the number 88 of Michael Mooney, he's currently 4 laps behind the race lead. Brian Bradley in the number 16, he's 6 laps down. There he is. And then you find Bilston 7 laps down, Travis White 8 laps down. So a lot of trucks now, many laps down. But the good news is 20 trucks on the lap as we're about to go back to green, Drew.
Yeah, I actually think the 48 was able to get that Brookstone, because he was a lap down when that happened, the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. As this 24 truck, we're going to see green flag. Oh, this is not going to be good. Luckily able to save it, but that is going to be some significant damage to that 24. That is a huge incident of wheel spin, and that could have been huge and bad news for most of the pack.
Yeah, we're going to go back and catch another look at this one from, let's see if we can go on board with the number 24 machine for this restart. And Drew, he elected to stay out there on the racetrack, slightly older tires, very easy to do this. Man, that was a lot of oversteer, great correction. He did hit the outside wall, but fantastic job by the whole field to avoid that from being a bigger accident.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those really big kind of, I mean, not flaws, but I think kind of things that happens in iRacing that we don't see in real life. When you restart on older-ish tires, and it's not like his tires were 50 laps old, you just when the tires aren't as cold as new ones, you just can get a lot more wheel spin kind of off the line essentially than you would kind of expect. And I think that's what caught that 24 truck out. I mean, just a great job of everyone involved, but definitely kind of, I think, lucky that there wasn't a truck to the outside of him when he kind of snapped back when he corrected it. So good job to everybody involved, but also very fortunate for everyone involved as well, as we are now seeing that 47 truck of Chris Darling, you know, that James Lorella was able to kind of gap him early on in that restart after that kind of whole drama unfolded. But I think Chris Darling is really starting to run him down now. And then can we see one of these other guys in the top 5 join this fight? Because I think Chris Darling has got to be the favorite at this point based on the speed that he's showing right now.
Yeah, and speaking of that battle for the top 5, the battle for 3rd position is red hot as well. Back up at the front, I was trying to see whether or not that number 47 was going to make a lunge. Not this time. But it looked like Milliner was showing the nose to Nathan Maurer. It looks like they're going to get back in line for just a little bit. So we'll get a little bit of green flag running in here, hopefully. But as I say that, here comes the 47 to the front. Chris Darling is going to drop below the number 9 machine. New race leader here at Richmond Raceway. Once again, the number 47 machine of Chris Darling. He's led the most laps here tonight. You can see it up at the top of your screen. Led 65 of the first 100 laps. It'll be 66 of the first 100 this time by, as we have 100 laps in the book. Just 167 to go.
Yeah, Chris Darling shown so much speed, and then I think Lorella was definitely very kind to him at that point, and definitely did not put up a big fight. As we are now looking back here, closer to the midfield, I believe we are looking at just in front of TJ Buck, which is the 62 truck of Colin Woolery, right at the tail end of the top 10, but definitely with the damage that 62 truck has, not too bad. I think TJ Buck, I think he's got quite a bit of rear end damage as well. That definitely is not going to help that truck be competitive, because we have seen him kind of struggle as these runs have gone further green, as Jeff Price, last week's winner, right, trying to make a move. But we have another caution.
Yeah, we do have another caution, trying to see who it is, and unfortunately, I think we've figured out. Oh, Drew, it's the 87 and the 23 again. Now this is going to be an interesting one here, Drew, because the big question here was this a little bit of payback, perhaps, or do you think this is just hard racing gone wrong?
Oh man, that is questionable. It definitely, if it was intentional, it didn't work, and it was a good job being disguised as maybe not being intentional by that 87 truck. I don't know. It definitely looks like he could have entered the corner, and so here we are on board. Ooh, man. I mean, if it was payback, he did a horrible job of it, but I don't think it was payback. I think I certainly would have ensured that the other truck would have gone around, and that's definitely not what happened. The 87 ended up paying the price for that one.
Drew, I'm seeing something interesting on pit road, and that's the number 48 machine of Matt Cherry. I'm going to see if maybe something happened to the number 48 machine of Cherry, because he's been on pit road for quite some time now. And remember, he was one of those trucks who had quite a bit of pace in the first portion of the race. I'm not seeing anything that happened to him. So it might just be another night where the number 48 machine has had pace all night long, and that's it. His night appears to be done. I don't see him out there on the racetrack anymore. So Matt Cherry, who led a few laps in the early going here tonight, showed a lot of pace. Looks like that is it for the 48 truck. I believe that thing is now taking itself to the garage.
Yeah, I mean, he was almost a full second off pace there at the end, and he's definitely displayed an attitude of if you ain't first, you're last, to quote the infamous Ricky Bobby. So I think Matt Cherry realized, I'm not competing for this win. And honestly, I think exiting at this point, he'll drop 4 positions from where he's running now, maybe 5, but I don't think it's going to really kill him. And we still have quite a few laps to go, about 160-ish laps to go. So I could understand. I probably wouldn't do, but I could definitely understand the sentiment of, I'm not competing for this win. Those were my aspirations early, and that is not the case anymore. I'm not going to ride around for 160 laps, a couple laps down, a second off pace.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have both been there, Drew. We have both ended up early in the race with engine damage or heavy damage, and you just think to yourself, oh my goodness, I have to last for the next 250 laps with all this damage. However, I think we have found someone who has just picked himself up the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. How about that, Drew? Paul Bilson all the way down in 19th, 6 laps down. He's the first car still out there on the racetrack. He's more than a lap down. He's finally got himself back to that lucky dog position, and he's going to get one of his laps back now, finds himself just 6 laps down. That's still a long way for him to get himself back on the lead lap, but another lap, I'm sure he'll be happy with that. He's picking up positions. He's up to 19th, so good job here for the 51 of Bilson to hang in there. He doesn't have a lot of damage. He's in one of those bad positions, like we just mentioned, Drew, where you have an uphill battle all race long, whether it's you've got engine damage or you're 6 laps down at the first drop of the green flag. Bilson's hanging in there. He's hanging in tough. He's picking up positions due to attrition. Definitely trying to see out the end of this one, because of course coming into Paul Bilson came into tonight, as you can see right there, 4th place in points. Bill Edwards in the number 50 machine. We haven't really highlighted him all too much this year. He's just put together some solid runs in the first portion of the season and got himself up as the points leader. But Drew, we're about to go back to green flag racing here at Richmond.
Absolutely. James Lorello leading him back to green. Heck of a restart by that 9 truck, as at 971. Not quite up there. Chris Darling definitely pitted that last time, and he's going to restart quite a bit further back, right outside the top 10. Actually, he's another caution.
Number 14 machine went around. We'll see this one on the replay. Luckily, looks like he was able to get it pointed going back in the right direction here pretty quickly, right behind Chris Darling, who I believe elected to come down pit road under the last caution and just got on the power a little bit too soon there, Drew. Maybe those tires weren't up to temperature, and just like that, went for a little bit of a spin cycle, able to correct it, got back going straight. So good job getting that thing pointed straight and ending up going straight, not pointing sideways out in the racetrack like we have seen a couple times here tonight.
Absolutely. It's just because you won last week doesn't mean you're gonna do the same the following week. And unfortunately for Jeff Price, he's certainly not out of it. There's a little bit of right rear damage, nothing too crazy. I think it can be so frustrating, right? You come off of that high of winning a race that means so much, like basically the anniversary of one of the most unfortunate days in American history, that was last Friday. And then to have this happen this week, I mean, maybe that's not in his mind, but I certainly think about that when I kind of have an incident after one of the race wins, if I can pronounce it, that I have. Yeah. I mean, nothing too crazy. They're able to continue. I don't expect there to be a ton of consequences for that. But I think kind of going back to Paul Bilson, another lucky dog, I believe, we're going to see that 51 truck have. And if I can recall, in 2003, 2004, a certain Jeff Gordon, after being 4 laps down in Martinsville, was able to come back and win the freaking thing. Now, that's 500 laps, which this race certainly is not. And that's Jeff freaking Gordon, which, no offense, none of these guys are Jeff Gordon, right? Even the best guy in iRacing is not Jeff Gordon. But he certainly is not out of hope at this point.
I beg to differ. I'm Jeff Gordon.
Okay. I mean, hey, whatever you got to tell yourself.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't have 7 championships to my name. I don't have 5 championships to my name. I don't have any NASCAR championships to my name. I'm not Dale Earnhardt. I'm not Jeff Gordon. I'm not nobody. But I am Peter Short, and you're joining us here on 3Y TV, myself, alongside Drew Eisenman for tonight's race as we close in on the halfway mark. Dave Atkinson saying, was there really digital revenge going on, or are they just trying to stir up drama in order to keep the audience from going away during the caution? I don't know, but either way, I like it, because if they are trying to stir up drama and it's keeping you here, hey, that's good, and we're going to find out just how that goes on here tonight. We did see drama at the end of the last race at Las Vegas. We saw a couple of the drivers getting, as you would say, probably argy-bargy there, Drew. With maybe some drivers not seeing eye to eye after that one. But here tonight, it's Richmond and short track racing, short track tempers. They're always a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think that was retaliation. I think it's just some guys, sometimes you just can't get away from guys that you've been racing and wrecking around. It's just kind of part of it. I think that's what happened in that incident. But I think it would be irresponsible of us to discount the possibility of that being retaliatory in nature. But, like I said, if it was, he did a horrible job. I would have been much more deliberate and would have ensured that the other truck would have gone around as well. But like I said, I don't think that was the case. Again, on this restart, Chris Darling started on pole, led a ton of laps down in P9 as we're looking at the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog in that 51 truck. Once again, only 5 laps down, now not out of the realm of possibility as we are coming to the green flag. Great restart by James Lorello in that 9 truck.
Yeah, green flag back in the air. Like I said, Lorello out to quite a few truck length advantage over the 971 of Nathan Maurer. As Doug Milliner in the number 6 machine going to drop to the inside of Maurer. Almost contact there coming out of turn number 2 as they head down the backstretch. Look at this battle now brewing back behind them. That's Stan Hausman in the number 39 machine. He's not had the best start to this 2020 Simbox Truck Series. As man, was that the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman going down below the yellow line? It was. He's going to get himself back up there on the racetrack, maybe having a little bit of wheel spin. But interesting to see here, Drew. One of the drivers really struggling on this restart. He's got a little bit of left front damage. That is the 47 of Chris Darling. He's led the most laps here tonight. In fact, he's led a lot of laps. You can see that 69 laps led on that number 47 machine, but now a little bit of left front damage as he gets underneath Colin Ullery in the 62.
Yeah, and on the apron there, 47 of Chris Darling on entry. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see what caused the left front damage, but that is a shot to the 32 that he just gave going into 3. He is certainly not shy as he comes over the radio. I can't quite make that out, but I believe he was saying, sorry, bud, not intentional. He has been kind of throwing some like Max Verstappen-esque kind of like muscling my way through the field moves. Certainly wants this win as we are looking at this 25 truck here. Now back to James Lorello in the lead. And I'll be honest, I kind of expected Lorello to pull away from these guys. It seemed like the 2 trucks that were so quick early on were the 47 and that 9 truck. Now we're looking back at the 32 and the 62 of Peter Sirto and Colin Ullery, respectively, is a huge tank slapper there on the exit with that 5 truck.
Ullery, the 62, the 33. This is a big one, and the 33 is pogo sticking down the racetrack, and he's going to end up upside down. that is Jeffrey Johnson Jr., who comes in tonight right at the top of the point standings. And this is going to be an interesting one here, Drew, to dissect, because there was a good number of trucks involved in this one. I think we're going to have to go to the blip cam. So there's the number 5 of Adams getting all up out of shape. But then the 62 and the 32 having it coming together. The 62 comes back down the racetrack. And unfortunately, the 33 machine just gets thrown up there into the outside wall. And like I said, Pogo sticks down the racetrack. But let's see if we can see exactly what instigated this accident here, this caution flag, because hey, you know what? I don't exactly know here. Drew, talk us through this one.
Well, here we go on the backstretch going into turn 3. Ooh, I don't think Ullery was expecting it to be 3 wide right there, and then, collects that 33, and then just kind of a conflagration of trucks there on the exit of 4, and the 33 just kind of slowly, like you said, Pogo sticks his way down the track. It was kind of surprising. That took forever to throw a caution. It essentially took about 20 seconds, and the leaders coming back up on these guys who were previously at the tail end of the top 10. As Peter, let's hear your opinion on what happened.
Yeah, I think that's again three wide off into the corner, and they weren't really expecting it, and Ullery just had it coming together with the number 23 machine. The 50 of Edwards was down there on the inside, not really anything of his own doing. Maybe the spotter's just not calling 3 wide here tonight. Look at Jeff Price in the number 14 machine. I've been there before, folks. Just bring the thing to a halt. Just stop it out there on the racetrack and avoid the accident. And that's what he did. A great move there to avoid any further collision. But unfortunately for Jeffrey Johnson Jr., definitely not what he wanted to happen, because if we bring up the current point standings, you can see Jeffrey Johnson Jr. just came in 1 point back off of Bill Edwards here tonight, Drew. I mean, that's going to be a big hit for that number 33 machine, depending on how much damage he has. He's already fallen 4 laps down under this caution. Definitely not what he wanted to have happen here right in the middle half of the race.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how much damage he has, that toe is so costly, ending up on your lid and then having to get that toe. Even if you're like 10 feet in front of your pit stop, it's like about a 40 seconds to get a toe, even if they have to move the car 3 feet. So while he might have been on the exit of 4, it's still going to be a lengthy process getting that car, or rather that truck, towed. And that's definitely unfortunate, as his biggest points rival, the leader, good old Bill Edwards, is not leading, but third, rather, in that 50 truck.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, we've got a couple of the S2R boys up there at the front here. And, of course, we've got some S2R fans in the chat as well. James Casterline in the chat saying drama equals ratings. Of course. That's why people watch TNT, because they know drama. Dave Atkinson, they're responsible to discount the possibility. Yeah, I agree as well. Definitely could be a thing of whether or not that argy-bargy that we saw earlier was, you know, a little bit of payback or not, but hopefully things get settled out here. Quite a few cautions here in the first half of the race here, Drew, as we bring up the race summary down there at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. 11 cautions now around Richmond. There'll be 52 laps this next time by, but the good news is this caution period will be ending. Pace car going to head down pit road. We're about 10 laps away or so from the halfway mark. Currently looking at the weather, the air temperature has dropped a degree down to 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That'll give the racetrack just a fraction more grip as the track continues to cool down, although it might play havoc for some cold tires. That's one thing I've been interested in here, Drew. Here tonight we've seen some wheel spin. Perhaps these Goodyear tires not hooking up under cold temperatures, cold tire temps, but we'll find out here as we're about to go back to green flag racing. Green flag in the air. James Sorello out to a good jump once again. The 6 and the 50 though, side by side for second.
Yeah, absolutely. That 50 truck, Bill Edwards, he's going to try to capitalize on the misfortune of his nearest points rivals, as he is now solidly up in a second place, passing that 9 truck. Man, it's so hard. I get confused between the number 6 and the number 9 trucks from the blimp cam, distinguishing who exactly I'm talking about. I have to reorientate myself. So that's Doug Milliner there in the 6 truck. Because again, Joshua Sobel, is the 971 truck. Oh, Chris Darling gets into him.
Yeah, we were riding on board with the number 6 machine when that happened. And unfortunately, Nathan Maurer in the number 1 machine, we're going to dial up this replay for you here, going off into turn number 1, the 30th Sobel right behind him. And once again, Drew, we mentioned cold tires look like they've been a problem right in front of Chris Darling. And I can only think that that's the cold tires once again. Just the tires not being up to temperature, being really, really slick out there on the racetrack. And we've seen it a couple times on these restarts where we have a quick yellow. And this time it unfortunately caught out this man right here, Nathan Maurer, in that machine.
It is definitely, it's unfortunate for both the 971 and the 47 because, I mean, that's certainly, Chris Darling doesn't have less damage than before that incident. I don't know that he got a ton from it. But it seems like it's happening so quick off the corners on these colder tires, as kind of you were saying. Like he was good, and then all of a sudden he was very much not good. We saw Matt Cherry have this same type of deal earlier on, where he then unfortunately overcorrected and threw the thing back up the track in front of the field. But as here we go, the 5. Ben Adams will be our Brookstone Lucky Dog Award winner this time, to the I'm sure frustration of Paul Bilson, who was hoping that would be him. But great for that 5 truck, as he will now be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and he's currently down in the 14th position. Just like that, we're only down to 14 trucks on the lead lap. Paul Bilson, for all you people at home interested in the recovery of Paul Bilson here tonight, well, you can see down there in the bottom left-hand corner, he's up to 15th. And Drew definitely continuing his climb. He's now 4 laps down, so if he gets a couple of cautions, still, he could get back to the lead lap because he is the first truck 1 lap down as of right now. Nathan Maurer was able to come down pit road, I think, get his damage fixed without falling a lap down. So, going to be interesting to see exactly how things shuffle through, because we did have a couple drivers come down pit road. We'll see if we can bring up the last lap since pit. So Larella's been out there 40 laps. Bill Edwards on fresher tires, only 25 laps. And then we got quite a few drivers from, I think, Joshua Sobel on back, who have less than 10 laps on their tires. And then about 10th place on back. They literally just pitted. So again, different pit strategies here throughout the field. That will be interesting to see how it plays out here as this race going on. Jason Bean saying, I am late. Well, you are late, but you are going to get the second half of the race here tonight. Hopefully all is well with you, Jason. And welcome to the 3Wide TV stream. Now, if you looked at the 3Wide TV channel, you would actually notice that there's 2 races going on right now on our channel at the same time. Not 100% sure if the other race is finished. It may have by now. But you can go put both streams side by side on your computer, computer window. Definitely kind of a cool thing that we have going on here while the Galaxy Cup Series is running on Friday nights. They run about 50% of their races on Friday nights, about 50% of their races on Saturday nights. It depends on what NASCAR does. If the NASCAR race is on Saturday, well, they run their race on Friday, and if the NASCAR race is on Sunday, they run their race on Saturday. So kind of interesting to see that we're both streaming at the same time. Jason Beam saying Mike Himmelman was an awesome man, and I thank you guys for having a memorial for him here tonight. I think that is definitely worth bringing up. Of course, tonight's logo and graphic, of course, the Mike Himmelman Memorial in loving memory of him. And of course, we're about to go back to green, but definitely, let's see if I can bring up, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like I can bring up, as unfortunately, you get a little bit of the Windows noises there. Hopefully we can fix that for next week, but we're about to get set to go back to green flag here. We'll see if we can dial that up under the next caution. But James Zarello once again out to a pretty good jump. Bill Edwards there in second. Almost cut off the number 30 of Joshua Sobel. There was almost contact between them here, Drew. But we're going to be halfway this time by.
Yeah, a great restart by James Zarello. I'm really curious to see what is this. What did that last incident mean for Chris Darling? Is he seems to be really quick, as he carried a ton of apex speed through 3 and 4 there. But quite a bit of damage on that 47 truck, as James Zarello certainly not disheartened by the possibility of that 47 truck not being quite as quick as earlier. as he definitely continues to lead. As we are looking at Chris Darling in that 47, quite a bit of right front damage in that 47 truck, but it doesn't seem like it's really affecting him too much, at least through the corners. He is carrying a ton of speed center exit. It looks like he's a little slow on the straightaways, doesn't it, Peter?
Yeah, I think we'll might be able to see a little bit more here from the onboard cam, running a little bit higher there through turn number 1 and 2. Definitely looks like he's losing a little bit of ground to that number 6 machine. I think that was very telling there on the backstretch. We'll see if we see something similar here on the front straight. And yeah, definitely looks like he is being legged by the number 6 machine just a little bit. I'm a bit surprised though, Drew. He made that heavy contact with the 971 of Maurer. I kind of expected to see the 47 machine come down pit road and get some of that front end damage repaired, but it looks like he elected to stay out there on the racetrack, and we'll have to see whether or not that's a good call or not as this race goes on, because you and I know front end damage can lead to a blown motor. If you've got a little bit of radiator damage, that can spell the end of your night if you don't take care of your machine.
Yeah, it absolutely can, as that 30 of Josh Sobel looking to make a move on Bill Edwards for second place here. That 30 truck, he's shown so much speed early on in these runs. We'll see if he can hang on to his tires better than he was able to earlier on in this race. It's, you know, we saw him show that pace where he could keep up with the leaders, but about 10, 15, 20 laps into the run, he really started to fade. I think he might have had a little drama here with Jeffrey Johnson Jr. in that 33 truck.
Yeah, Jeffrey Johnson Jr., remember, he was that truck that went pogo sticking down the racetrack and ended up on his lid. He's finally been able to get back out there on the racetrack, but that number 19 machine, it does not sound like it is up to snuff here. Definitely looks to be off the pace. He's currently in 19th, 12 laps behind the race leader. Is being one of the trucks at number 16 back right behind him, Brian Bradley right there. Looks like he had a little bit of moment coming out at turn number 2, able to keep that thing going, but back up the front, we have a battle for the race lead, and Joshua Sobel just dropped to the inside of James Lorello, and Joshua Sobel will go to the front for the first time here tonight. Rich Sobel in the chat, I bet you he's going wild right now, because that number 30 machine, to the point.
He said, I don't care about tires. I want to lead this thing, and who can blame him? 30 Josh Sobel, great move going into 1 there on the 9 of James Lorello, and he's starting to gap him by 2 or 3 truck lengths here. It's a really good wide entry into 3 and 4. That's what you want to see. You want to talk about saving tires. That wide entry will definitely prevent you from kind of like over inputting the steering wheel through the center to keep that truck down, which I am definitely prone to. A little close to the yellow line there on entry, but in Richmond, you definitely expect the trucks to kind of take that late apex, especially into turns 1 and 2, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the preferred line, especially with this kind of dynamic track model. I think, especially within that kind of bottom lane, it can vary, but that might really scrub the front tires for that 30 truck lap later on, as I believe this is the 4 truck of Andrew Himmelman. Where is good old Andrew running? Down in P9, started P10, so not too bad, as he is not too far behind the battle in front of him between TJ Buck and I believe that's the 39 truck that is Stan Houseman. So that's quite a good battle brewing there. I think the 4 truck, not too bad. His truck looks fairly clean, unlike, it seems like at this point quite a few trucks in this field are not so clean. So a pretty good run for Andrew Himmelman, as right behind him is the guy who is definitely seeking more Brookstone Lucky Dog Awards, and the 51 of Paul Bilson. We'll see how aggressive that truck is, as Paul is still 4 laps down.
Yeah, still 4 laps down, but has a shot at getting back on the lead lap if we see caution flags fall in the last half of the race like we did in the first half. Good news is we've been green flag now for just about 10 laps around this joint. But one thing I really wanted to do was, of course, this is the Mike Himmelman Memorial. That was Andrew Himmelman's father, who passed away 2 years ago. It would have been his birthday, I believe, tomorrow. So that, of course, is one of the reasons for tonight's Mike Himmelman Memorial. Definitely a lot of people saying great things about Mike Himmelman. We're going to try and hopefully we can get Andrew after the race. We tried to get him before the start of the race, but unable to do so. So we're going to try and catch a word with him at some point here tonight, perhaps under one of the next cautions. I know these cautions go by very, very quickly as we ride on board with his machine, catching up to the back of TJ Buck in the number 84 machine. This is actually a battle for position right now. TJ Buck looks like he is going to just let the number 4 machine on by. You can see out back the number 84 machine just off the left side of your screen. Let's see if the number 4 can make the pass coming out of the corner. Whoa, looks like the number 84 isn't quite given up so easily like I thought he was going to. And still side by side here through turn number 3 and 4. Looks like Himmelman, Himmelman's going to get that run. It's just a matter of time running down there on the inside line. We have not seen that outside line be at all good here tonight. Definitely the inside line has been the preferred groove, and just like that, the number 4 machine is going to take that position and move himself up into the 8th spot. But one thing I wanted to do under that last caution was bring this collage that we have here tonight. This collage is of Mike Himmelman, of course, tonight, the Mike Himmelman Memorial, like I was just mentioning. Mike Himmelman here in pictures with Andrew at various stages of his life. Definitely a memorial race here tonight for Mike Himmelman. And it would have been his birthday, like I said. Definitely, you know, very upsetting to have that happen to someone so young. And definitely in memoriam of him here tonight. A little bit further forward, Drew, I saw some crazy action happening because I think I saw Lorello get back by Joshua Sobel, and indeed he has. Lorello now back to the point in the number 9 machine as he begins to pull away just a little bit on Sobel. There's the last laps, although Sobel last time by was just a little bit faster than Lorello, so maybe this battle isn't quite done yet. But one thing I am noticing, Drew, a little bit further back, Chris Darling here really struggling with that damage. Looks like he is now falling back into the clutches of the number 5. Actually, no, excuse me, there's a couple of lap trucks. But he's definitely lost the back bumper of Nathan Maurer in the 971. Maurer definitely pulling away here, and you can see those lap times last time by. Darling, yes, he was in traffic, but this is actually also a battle that we see right here. Tim Hammond in the number 25 machine going to give up that 4th position to Nathan Maurer. Maurer going to take that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was that 5 of Ben Adams. There was quite a bit of interaction between he and the leaders, and that, I think, cost both Josh Sobel the lead and really hurt the 47 of Chris Darling. I kind of have a little theory, and we'll see if this holds to be true, but I think that Chris Darling's going to benefit from the longer green run, that it feels like this race is starting to kind of enter into that phase, right? I mean, we've lost 15 trucks, 10 trucks-ish, maybe a little bit more than 10 trucks at this point, just due to wrecks and various other issues. So we'll see. If we get this longer green run, I think that engine thing might not be so bad of a thing to have, as he might be able to save those rear tires a little bit off the corner, and maybe that'll actually benefit him later on. But we saw Josh Sobel in that interaction with the lap truck. Rather, unfortunately, we didn't see it, but I definitely saw what happened. It kind of held him up, and Lorello was just close enough to take advantage of it. And we'll see. I mean, they're not too far. There's enough trucks that are kind of off pace and several laps down, where lap traffic is going to be a continuous problem for these guys. And Josh Sobel, I thought this is about where he would start to fall off in the race, but or in this run rather, but he hasn't. He's been able to keep that 30 truck well under him, and kind of taking this fight back to James Lorello. Close back in. Lorello pulled a few truck links on that 30, and then now the 30 is kind of reeling him back in.
Well, one thing that you'll notice up in the top ticker here, Drew, is that Joshua Sobel has 32 lap fresher tires than James Lorello. So it's actually impressive to me that Lorello is able to hold on to this lead here because of the fact that he has almost twice the tire age of the number 30 of Sobel. So Sobel on some slightly fresher tires, but they're actually all getting caught right now by the 971 of Nathan Maurer. Because if you watch the ticker at the top of the screen, again, Maurer actually has the freshest tires in the top 5 right now. You're about to see it right here at the top of the screen. There you can see it. Maurer's tires are only 28 lap olds. You compare that to Lorello's, whose 70 lap old tires are starting to give up just a little bit of pace. So definitely Maurer closing in. Remember, he was involved in that accident with the number 47 of Darling not too long ago, but doesn't look like he got all too much damage from it, and he's starting to move himself towards the front.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, his race certainly hasn't been drama-free, but he is showing a ton of pace right now. And I think that the 9 truck, who has been one of the top 3 guys in pace all night, and having those older tires, it certainly speaks well for him, but not if that 971 gets up there, who has been in the top 5 most of the night, qualified in 3rd. Nathan Maurer has displayed quite a bit of pace throughout the night. And if he can get up there, I think he's going to kind of give James Zarello quite a hassle for that lead position.
And it looks like Joshua Sobel here getting freight train just a little bit, got stuck to the outside through turn number 3 and 4. That was able to give Edwards a run down the front stretch, got to the inside of Sobel, and like we have seen all night long, that high groove just not being effective, and Sobel got stuck up there and kind of got a little bit of a freight train going on as Maurer, with those fresher tires, able to squeak on through. Now Lorello's up to a 1-second lead over Edwards. And like we've been mentioning, Maurer very, very quick here over the last 10 laps or so, as we close in on just 100 laps to go. 75 miles it will be in about 4 laps time from now. So we're keeping an eye on that 971 for sure. But looking back through the field, really things starting to spread out here, Drew. We got a good battle here in the top 5, but then you have Tim Hammond, who's kind of on his own little island in 5th. It's about a second back to that man right there, Chris Darling, who has a second over Stan Hausman, and then 2.5 seconds back to Andrew Himmelman. Doug Milliner in the number 6 machine is in 9th. He is about 4 seconds behind Himmelman. And then you have Joey Doucette rounding out your top 10 here tonight in that number 61 truck, trying to run right down there along that yellow line as much as possible. But Doucette here, rounding out your top 10, put together a pretty solid run. He has gained 12 positions from the start of the race, so definitely very, very impressive for Doucette to gain those positions and try and hold on to his spot. If you're keeping track of the biggest mover of the race for the Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race award, well, currently that would be the number 25 of Tim Hammond, who right there, man, did he just have a moment perhaps here, Drew? I don't really know. But interesting to see what's happening here, because we're getting word that big on pit road. This has been a fairly long green flag run, and including the number 9 machine right there, James Lorello on pit road. Nathan Maurer in the 971 with him. Man, I'm not too surprised the number 9 of Lorello came down pit road, but I'm really surprised the 971 of Maurer came down pit road, Drew, because he only had about 30 laps or so since he last came down pit road. Lorello, on the other hand, had been about 70 laps since he'd come down pit road. So some interesting strategies here, but this is going to give the race lead, at least currently, to the number 50 of Bill Edwards, who has a 6-second gap now back to Chris Darling. Other cars that came down pit road, looks like Tim Hammond in the number 25 is on pit road right now currently. There he is. Aaron Mack right in front of him. Looks like he might be that machine. No, he is in that number 35, so maybe having some connection issues. But some interesting calls here, because if we have a caution here within the next couple of laps, as the number 84 TJ Buck also on pit road, a couple of these trucks could get caught a lap down.
Yeah, it's interesting that the 971 decided to match the 9 truck on strategy. I kind of like what this 50's doing in mixing it up a bit. I wonder, like, kind of what we were wondering at Vegas, could you cut a pit stop out? I don't think the tire wear at Richmond is nearly what it was at Las Vegas. It looks like they only lost about a second over the course of that run. And so I think that by the time the 50 pits and comes back out, I think he's going to basically be a second quicker than the guys who short pitted them, and he's probably going to gain most of that time back. He's just going to have a lot less fuel, at the very least, even if he has to pit the same amount of times. he's going to need a lot less fuel late in this run, which will shorten his pit stop up. It's going to be interesting to see how this strategy plays out, as we are seeing Lorello also having to deal with traffic, so he might not be able to see the full pace of those tires as he's trying to get by guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how this strategy all works out. Of course, now we have... oh, here we go. This is a game changer, Drew. Caution flag is in the air, and I'm trying to see what happened here. And I believe it's the number 25 machine, Tim Hammond. Cold tires just pitted a lap or two ago. Did the same thing happen? Yes, it did. Cold tires striking again here at Richmond, and that's going to bring out the yellow, and it's going to change the ball game completely, because as I said, trucks getting caught a lap down. Well, we just had a lot of trucks get caught a lap down. In fact, folks, left side of your screen tells you the story. 4 trucks on the lead lap. Bill Edwards, Chris Darling, Stan Hausman, and Joey Doucette. Just 4. James Lorello appears to be your Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution. But that's going to be interesting, Drew, because Lorello, I mean, I guess he's going to take the wave around here, but, or get the lucky, I don't really know. This is going to change everything, and it's, interestingly enough, one of the drivers who just pitted who brought out that caution flag because, you know, he had cold tires. We've seen it a couple times here tonight. Cold tires catching out drivers.
Yeah, I imagine Lorello will take the Lucky Dog. He certainly should get the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. And then I imagine he would want to take tires because that is so valuable. I mean, they only had 5, 6, 7 laps on their tires, but that's going to make a world of difference, as we've seen. Really unfortunate for Joshua Sobel, and Andrew Himmelman, and a bunch of other guys, TJ Buck, and then I mean, honestly, kind of unfortunate for Paul Bilson, even though I don't think he lost a lap in that whole ordeal. It's not, certainly not what they wanted to see. You know, who did want to see this though, as now, I believe so. Is it confirmed that Lorello got that Lucky Dog Award?
Yes. Lorello was your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution, so he's going to come into his pit box here, get some fresh tires, but he'll have to start tail end of the longest line due to, of course, that penalty. One interesting thing, and I also did note, Drew, this man right here, Chris Darling, had a very long pit stop. He came down pit road to fix some of that damage. We've seen it plaguing him. So maybe he's able to take this opportunity, fix some of that damage, and maybe he'll be a little bit more up to pace when we go back green here shortly.
Yeah, you read my mind, Peter. I can tell that we're starting to mesh broadcast-wise, because that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is that I think this provides a really good opportunity for that 47 truck to get a lot of this damage fixed. He should take as much time as he can, because the pace that he displayed early on, if that truck is just a couple tenths quicker than what it was before, because it was very, very clearly down on power, then I think Chris Darling should be heavily considered for a possibility to compete for this win. And it's a shame that kind of what's happened has happened. He's displayed so much pace early on, and then he's picked up this damage basically just with either hard racing or unfortunate circumstances around him. He started on pole. I am sure he has the quickest lap. If he doesn't, he's right up there. And I would hope that we get to see the guy who has displayed so much pace. He really hasn't made a mistake. I hope he's able to get back up there and really bring it to these leaders up front, which, we're seeing a ton of wave rounds now go by the pace car, which is not surprising whatsoever.
Yeah, you can see the pace car now picking up your current race leader. That is the number 50 machine of Bill Edwards. When we go back to green flag here shortly, he will lead us to the green flag. You see how many trucks really didn't take the wave around, and then you got Chris Darling there really hustling to catch up to the back end of the field. But pace car lights are off. We're going to go back to green flag racing here shortly. Let's see if we can keep an eye on that starter man right there, because he's got the green flag in hand, and the green flag here is going to wave at Richmond Raceway once again. Good restart here for the number 50 of Bill Edwards, who's here, Drew. I gotta say, he's kind of in the driving seat, at least as of right now. I mean, I know there's still a long way to go, just under 100 more laps around this racetrack, but Edwards got himself out front. He's got himself a clean racetrack. That's about all you need if you're the race leader, because he's got Doucette. And Doucette here has been putting together a strong run, used that strategy call to get himself up to the front. But he was one of those drivers who started back in 22nd, didn't show a lot of pace in qualifying. He's put together a solid race here tonight. What can Doucette do now that he's inside the top 5? Then Chris Darling has been really, really fast. Your pole sitter tonight in that Fleet Pride machine. He's currently in 3rd, and then Lorello also likewise been very, very quick here tonight. In fact, you see the most laps led here tonight. Darling's led 69, Lorello's led 57. So these two drivers running 3rd and 4th right now have combined to lead pretty much half of the event up to this point.
Yeah, I am seeing with that 47, he's certainly quicker on the straightaway than he was before, even if he is, as we saw right there. I think he might have just let the 9 of James Morello by. It's going to be interesting. Bill Edwards with a pretty clear track in front of him. Fresher tires, better pace than the guys around him. I think the only guy he should really be worrying about is James Lorello. He's the only guy that I think is on pace with him, that has the same tires that he has. Heck of a recovery from the 9 truck from being a lap down to now being up in 3rd. Now I believe that was a pass for 2nd on the 61 of Joey Doucette. So what can Lorello do here, as Paul Bilson looks like he is trying to earn one of his laps back the old-fashioned way, trying to get back to 3 laps down as he gets really loose at a turn 4.
Yeah, there is Paul Bilson trying to close back into the bumper in the number 50. And Drew, one thing about the Lucky Dog is we usually say the Lucky Dog kind of has that disadvantage for the restart. It has to start tail end of the longest line. But because so many cars took the wave around, Lorello got to start quite close to the race lead. So that's one of the reasons why he's already found himself up in 2nd. 3rd car out there on the racetrack with the number 51 of Bilson sandwiching the number 50 and the number 9 right now. But S2R right now currently running 1st and 2nd out there. Definitely a strong showing for them here tonight. Also want to highlight driver of the number 77 machine. I gotta say, Drew, Doug Neal, he's 55 laps down right now. He's seen some of the attrition out there. There's a couple of trucks in front. He just made the pass on Colin Ullery to gain the 19th position. He's just out there. He had a blown motor in one of the early collisions, sporting the Simbox colors, and the crew went to work. They replaced the engine, and credit to him as he's back out there on the racetrack trying to pick up positions 55 laps down.
We don't have the old caution clock there on that 77 truck. I miss that in real life, that we don't get these guys who, the teams work a ton on to get these cars back out there and complete the race. Good on Doug Neal. This can be the difference between missing and making the chase, right? Is the points that Doug Neal is going to pick up, because he had basically the fortitude to keep going when other guys just decided, no, I'm not doing it, like Matt Cherry, right? We saw Matt Cherry, I believe his truck could have kept going and he just didn't want to continue. We're seeing the opposite in the 77, and his truck literally couldn't keep going. He waited for it to be fixed, and now he's back out there, as the race for the lead is really, really starting to kind of stack up now, as the 50 Bill Edwards is encountering some pretty heavy lap traffic, and Travis White, who is not being too cooperative in 3 and 4, but makes room in 1 and 2.
Yeah, Travis White in that number 23 machine finds himself 9 laps down. Definitely hasn't been the night he was looking for after being involved in kind of a rash of cautions there in about the first third of the race. The funny thing about that number 23 machine is it doesn't look like it's got a whole lot of damage on it, Drew. But I know we've seen that truck in a couple of accidents. As, oh man, that was a 47 there of Darling. Maybe giving a little bit of a nudge to the 23, saying, all right, buddy, I'm coming through. I'm on the lead lap. I'm trying to get some positions. But definitely some issues under the hood for that number 23, as he's well off the pace, and he's in the outside wall, and he's going down the racetrack into the grass, going right across the big Toyota sign, and boink into the inside wall. And looks like he's just going to take the fast repair back, or the fast tow, back to pit road. Man, I was going to say, there definitely seemed to be something up with that number 23 machine. Not exactly what he's been looking for here tonight. Hopefully he can bounce back next week in that truck.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly was aggressive by Chris Darling, but I think when you're a lap truck, especially when you're multiple laps down, like that 23 truck was, I mean, I certainly would be frustrated if I'm in third position and I'm having a guy that's 5+ laps down racing me that way. I mean, he was 8 laps down when that occurred, I believe, 8 or 9. Yeah, I would probably put the bumper to him too.
Just a
And
little
then
bit of a bumpity bump, just hey buddy, I'm here.
certainly wasn't a dump or anything. It was just he carried more speed off the corner, and the 23 definitely was not giving him room. And it was just a little nudge to say, "Hey man, like let me go. I'm on the lead lap. I'm racing up here. There's no reason for you to be holding me up at this point." And then I believe we saw maybe a little bit of a door check to the 47 truck on the backstretch there by the 23, and then ultimately the 23 then lost it on the front stretch and got into the wall. But back up front, as I don't know what quite going on.
I think Peter Serto here, he just came down and off the racetrack, and I'm not 100% sure if there's been a mechanical failure of his steering wheel or something like that, but or maybe he's just really antsy to get back out there on the racetrack. But Peter Serto came down pit road, and he just lost the 14th position to Paul Bilson. James Zarello finally able to get alongside of the number 51 machine of Bilson here. So Bilson will drop back to the third truck in line, but that's going to set up a battle for the race lead between here Edwards and Lorello, lockstep out there on the racetrack as we are getting close to the 200 lap marker here tonight. And the good news here, Drew, is that we've been caution free for about 20 laps or so, which is one of the longest periods of the race. We'll see if we can bring up tonight's race summary. There you see it in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. 13 cautions here tonight, and that's atypical of what we've seen so far this year in the Simbox Truck Series, Drew. Not very many cautions over the last 2 nights, but we got a big rash of them in the first half of the race. Hopefully things calm down for the remaining 70 laps or so are in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think 13 cautions, barring a spike in late race incidents, I think that's too bad for, closing in on lap 200 at Richmond. In iRacing, at least, I think in real life that would be a lot. But I think in iRacing, which tends to, invoke the aggressive nature of people because there's not really any real world consequences to wrecking, that I don't think 13 is nearly too bad. I have certainly been a part of races that have been much shorter with a lot more cautions at this track. But we are now seeing James Lorello really starting to pressure the 50 of Bill Edwards now. It kind of feels like it's a matter of time before Lorello is able to set up this pass. I don't think it's going to be on the backstretch this time by, but he is certainly applying a ton of pressure to Bill Edwards for that lead.
Yeah, you can see right down there at the bottom of your screen, James Lorello last time by just a fraction of a second faster than Bill Edwards. We'll see those times update. Now it swings the other way. Edwards about a 1/10 of a second faster than Lorello. That gap still holding station at about 3/10 of a second. It is a big gap back to the number 47 of Darling. Another big gap back to Nathan Maurer. And then back there around Maurer, you got Joey Doucette in the number 61 machine. Maurer over the last couple of laps has been pulling away from Doucette. So Doucette now back into 5th. And then what about Joshua Sobel in the number 30? He is slowly but surely closing in on Doucette. There's about a 1/10 of a second time difference between them. So we'll have to check in on that battle for the 5th position here in a couple of laps or so. But we're focused on this battle for the race lead right now. Best battle out on the racetrack, definitely the best battle inside the top 10, that is for sure, as we're only down to 8 trucks on the lead lap. That caution flag that we saw, Drew, during those green flag pit stops, definitely throwing a lot of people for a loop and catching a lot of trucks multiple laps down. And you can see right there, we're now just down to 8 on the lead lap. TJ Buck and the number 5 of Ben Adams, both of those trucks, they fell 2 laps down when that caution flag fell out about 30 laps ago. So they were able to get one of those laps back thanks to the wave around, but they're still mired 1 lap down in 9th and 10th respectively.
Yeah, it's certainly it's one of those kind of deals where you're able to get the lap back, but then if that race goes for another long green run, you're going to pay that price. And right, like we said, James Zarello, he put himself in a great position. He was one of those guys a lap down, and then he was kind of fortunate enough, or he was quick enough to put himself in the position to be the lucky dog, take those tires, and now he is pressuring Bill Edwards consistently, lap after lap through the corners. trying to get that race lead as basically everyone else, Chris Darling, Nathan Maurer, Joey Doucette, fallen off. The nearest guy is Chris Darling in third, 6.3 seconds back. It is between Bill Edwards and James Zarello here on lap 206 of 267. Just about 60 laps to go. I believe we'll see one more stop. I think that'll be it. These guys are running 65% fuel in the trucks. I imagine these guys could get at close to 100 laps. Now, I have not run 65% fuel in these trucks, so that is kind of a fairly educated guesstimate. But I think that we will see probably one more stop, and then they'll go from here. So I think it's a pretty straightforward strategy, and then that pretty much sets it up between Bill Edwards and James Zarello from here on out there, Peter.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we will see one more pit stop to the end as TJ Buck there in the number 84 machine. Looks like he's going to now fall 2 laps down in the Captain Crunch Chevrolet. And unfortunately, it looks like the number 5 of Ben Adams about to fall 2 laps down as well. So that will basically mean that there are no trucks 1 lap down. They're either on the lead lap or 2 or more, as the number 50 of Edwards is going to get on by. But Drew, one thing to really mention, and I know we mentioned it here tonight, but Bill Edwards came into tonight as the points leader, had yet to get to victory lane, but we could be looking at a really big points night because Jeffrey Johnson Jr. has had issues. Jeff Price in the number 14 machine, we didn't really mention it, but Jeff Price in that number 14 machine, he's not on the racetrack anymore. He's 21st right now, and it looks like his night is done. Paul Bilson, we've seen him stuck multiple laps down. He's continuing to try and claw his way through the field. But Bill Edwards here looking for a very solid points night as well as a very solid finish. If he can finish right where he is right now, he'll be going to victory lane for the first time in the Simbox Truck Series season.
I wonder how much that's going to play into his level of aggression defending this lead. Finishing second is certainly better than getting maybe involved in an incident and not finishing the race at all. If he finishes first or second, I mean, he is going to be well clear of the guys around him. As you mentioned, Jeff Johnson Jr., Jeff Price, Doug Milliner, Colin Ullery, all of these guys have had significant problems. Doug Milliner is the closest out of those in 7th, and then Paul Bilson, I believe, is 4th in points. And actually, Paul Bilson is up to 13th position. That's crazy. He's 4 laps down, up into 13th. So, now up to 12th after he passes Ben Adams. So it's going to be a good points night regardless, based on kind of where these guys are running right now. There's no third party that looks like it's going to be challenging this 2-truck race here at the end. It's going to be between Bill Edwards and James Zarello. But no matter what happens, great points night for Bill Edwards in that 50 truck.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug Milliner in the number 6 machine just fell 1 lap down, so that puts only 6 trucks on the lead lap. We're looking at the 6th place number 30 of Joshua Sobel because he has caught the 61 of Joey Doucette. This is a battle for a top 5 position right now. Great job here by Sobel. He's on slightly older tires, and if you can see up at the top of the screen, I'm about to bring up the last lap since pits. You can see Joey Doucette, he pitted 40 laps ago, but look as this goes over to the next page. Joshua Sobel, 8 laps older tires. So not a huge difference here, Drew, but just enough. And you have to remember, most of those laps were green flag laps between them. Just enough that I think Sobel here might be suffering with those tires just a little bit more than Doucette in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely wouldn't surprise me. We've seen Sobel be so quick on the short runs, but I gotta believe, like, kind of how he keeps that truck down on entry into 1. Typically, you're going to scrub those front tires and you're going to wear them out a little bit more than you would if you kind of did that high entry, late apex in 1 and 2. I mean, I have done the same thing that he's done, and I have certainly paid the price for that. It is very quick on the short run, but you definitely it hurts late in the run. So Sobel has displayed definite raw pace, but definitely at the expense of his long
long run pace that is man, we are still bumper to bumper for the lead. James Zarello really has not been able to make progress on Bill Edwards, but Bill Edwards has not made an error. He has been able to be consistent despite that 9 being very, very, very clearly right behind him and in his rearview mirror.
Drew, do you think we're I think we both believe that these drivers are going to have to come down pit road once more time. Are we thinking here that this could be a battle of who blinks first down pit road? Who tries the undercut? Who wants to get that advantage of fresher tires for just 1 or 2 extra laps? I'm thinking it might be, and if I'm James Zarello, I'm thinking, you know what? The window here is open, without a doubt. We've got 48 laps to go. You can make it from here on fuel. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see Lorello down pit road here probably in the next 10 to 15 laps or so. And we'll see if he beats Bill Edwards to the punch.
Yeah, if I were Bill Edwards, I would be coming essentially as soon as I knew it was feasible. No, granted, he put himself in this position by staying out and then getting a caution. But there's a lot less trucks on the track at this point in the race. And I think whoever pits first is probably going to win. I think Lorello has enough pace to where if he gets in front of that 50, I don't think that 50 is going to get by him. And I think if that 50 pits first, I don't think that 9 of Lorello is going to be able to get by him. And we just saw 47 of Chris Darling come off the pit road to 84 TJ Buck. We are well, or rather, the 47 entering pit lane. We are well within our pit window. It's just who out of these top 2 is going to get that undercut, because I think whoever does it is going to win this race.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye on the laps since pit. 48 laps ago was when Bill Edwards came on pit road, 45 laps to go in the race. So I would think this is effectively the halfway mark on green flag laps. So we know they can make it to the end from here. We've already seen drivers like TJ Buck here in the number 84 here trying to get one of his laps back. He just came off pit road. He's currently being scored 4 laps down. Oh man, a little bit close there with Bill Edwards, excuse me, going off into turn number 1, but they're able to keep things going there. It was Ben Adams there right back behind. That's where the Ben came from, folks. Excuse me, that wasn't Ben Adams. That was Andrew Himmelman. In the number 4 machine, 2 very similarly looking trucks, the Sim Racing shirts, number 4 and number 5 of Andrew Himmelman and Ben Adams. But there's the number 4 of Himmelman. He's currently being scored 1 lap down now, so he's trying to move his way forward on some fresher rubber. But yeah, like you said, we just got Joshua Sobel in the number 30 machine. He's coming down pit road, so he's one of the first drivers up towards the top 5 who's going to blink first. But Lorello and Edwards still running out there on the racetrack. And now, due to that lap traffic kind of getting around him, Edwards got a little bit of a breathing room over. The number 9 machine was of Lorello. Is that Lorello coming down? Yes, it was. Here he comes, James Lorello. Gonna see if he can beat the number 50 to the punch at the line right there. Those yellow cones that you saw is where you have to get down to pit road speed. So Lorello's going to come down. We'll have to see how his pit stop turns out. But now, the number 50 of Bill Edwards, will we see him on pit road this time here, Drew? It's not looking like it just yet.
I got to say, I would have pitted the previous lap if I were Bill Edwards, right? He had about a second lead on Lorello. If he would have pitted, I think that really would have solidified his chance to win this race. I don't know why he's staying out. I certainly, if I were on his team radio, would be yelling at him to come in. If you want to win this race, you need to come in now. Now, again, staying out, he was able to put himself in a position where he was one of only 4-ish guys that was able to stay on the lead lap. Maybe that's what he's banking on now. He's banking on these closing rates between the trucks that stayed out and pitted is so great, maybe, right, that can lend itself to causing an incident, causing a caution. Maybe that's what he's thinking is there's a ton of guys that are slow, there's a ton of guys that are quick. When you come up on a guy mid-corner, sometimes you're not anticipating that closing rate, incident can happen. That's probably what I would assume that he is banking on in that 50 truck. But I got to look at these lap times. 23.7 for Bill Edwards the last time by. James Zarello ran a 22.2, a second and a half difference I mean, if Bill pits now, it's pretty much game over. I think James Zarella wins this race. So maybe this 50 is going to stretch it as far as possible and maybe just take a little bit of fuel. Maybe that's all he needs. Maybe no tires, but it's 2.5 seconds or 1.5 seconds a lap. That's a huge difference in pace there.
And here comes Bill Edwards. Looks like he's going to dive down onto pit road here with 37 laps to go. There's no question, James Lorello, who had a very decent pit stop, 14.9 second stop on the number 9 machine of Lorello. We'll have to see how that all works out here for Bill Edwards. But, you know, like you said, Lorello was out there lapping about 1.5 seconds faster than the 50 of Edwards. And I think Lorello here is just going to catch him and pass him. So let's see if we can ride on board with him here. Joey Doucette, on the other hand, in the number 61 machine, he's actually going to take the race lead. Let's see if we can see exactly where Bill Edwards is. Well, the answer is Bill Edwards is just now coming out of his pit stall. Lorello miles on by. Bill Edwards didn't have a slow pit stop either. He had a 14.6 second pit stop. So that's very respectable pit time for Bill Edwards. It was just a matter of the fact that Edwards, you know, waited those laps to come down pit road. And now he's going to have to do the hard work to catch up to the number 9 of Lorello. And not only that, he's going to have to pass him, because catching him is one thing, passing him is another. And we've seen that number 9 machine very, very good once he gets out front.
And that's a 6-second difference right now between Bill Edwards and James Earl. That's huge. And not only does Bill Edwards have to run him down, he's got to defend this second position from the 971 of Nathan Maurer and Chris Darling, who's right behind him. He does not have second even locked up at this point. Now, he should have a tire advantage over those guys. Sometimes that doesn't really play out to what you think it would, but it's 6.5 seconds. I mean, maybe he's just not trying to be risky, but I really don't understand why he would have stayed out in that position, because that certainly cost him a chance at winning a race if there are no more cautions from here on out.
Well, we say that, you know, we are commentators. We're not down there in the race truck. Last time by, he was 0.3 of a second faster than James Lorello was, but, you know, with just 32 laps to go, yeah, that would get him there in time, but then you still have to pass him. This time by less than 1/10 of a second between Lorello and Edwards on pace. So, and really, we're watching Edwards here. I mean, he's going to have to contend with lap traffic. Drivers like Paul Bilson here. Bilson pitted a little while ago as his climb up towards the lead lap. I think it's going to fall a little bit short here, Drew, but he's still picking up positions. He's now up to the 12th spot, so I got to give a big shout out to Bilson continuing to circle laps around this racetrack, but you can just kind of see the difference here, as we can see at the stripe. There's the bright yellow number, the 9 machine of Lorello. Wait. Here comes the number 50 of Edwards just flashing on by. So that's the gap here that Edwards is going to have to catch up here with just 30 to go.
Like you said, I mean, another 0.3 that last time by. We'll see if he can keep that up. I think the tires are going to kind of flatten out as Bill Edwards scrubs the new off of those things. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I certainly would have pitted earlier. But heck, that's why I'm in the commentator's booth and not driving one of these things. So yeah, another 2.3 that last time by as well for Bill Edwards. It was 6.5 coming off pit road now. He's already cut a second out of it down to 5.6. He's just going to have to be really, really aggressive with this lap traffic to ensure that that he doesn't get held up, because he can't really afford to not close at this rate, as now it's down under 5.5 seconds.
We saw the number 6 machine of Doug Milliner make a late race pit stop, so I think that is basically going to cycle it through. Joey Doucette pitted about 5 laps ago from the race lead to give the race lead back to Lorello. 27 laps to go, 5.3 seconds. And look at that, folks. Joshua Sobel running in the 6th position right now. He is the last truck on the lead lap, in danger here of falling down 1 lap. Looking at his pit stop time, I mean, it didn't have a bad pit stop, did Joshua Sobel. He pitted around the same time as James Lorello. So, you know, if Lorello struggles here, Drew, to get around Sobel to put him a lap down, and Sobel has every right to race the number 9 machine hard here, because he has every right to try and stay on the lead lap. It could just allow Edwards to close in that much more. but we'll have to see. What will Sobel do? Will he lay over, or will he race the number 9 machine here hard? I think at this point in the race, with the pace that we've seen out of Sobel, especially early in the run, you don't have any option to race him hard, or any option but to race him hard. Because, you know, if a caution flag came out, you put on some fresh tires, you might have a shot at winning this thing. But Lorello here's got a good run on the high side.
Yep, it's certainly one of those deals where, I mean, I think you have to fight if you're the 30 truck, right? This is your race. This is potentially your chance for competing for the win going up right here, and he's certainly not giving it to the 9 of James Zarello, really fighting hard on that inside. We'll see if he's able to stick by to 3 and 4. I imagine, based on the pace that Lorello's shown, that he's going to be able to clear him off 4. Yeah, not quite. Maybe going into 1. Yeah, they're right there. I think he'll get him off of 2 here. But meanwhile, Bill Edwards down to 4 seconds. Oh, wow, he's not, as Sobel gets a great run through 1 and 2. Man, this is killing James Zarello. Now he's finally clear, but you can see how much Bill Edwards is close. Let's see what this gap goes down to. It was 4 seconds the last time by. Your James Zarello crosses the start-finish line. Now Bill Edwards crosses our finish line. 3.5 seconds behind. That was a half a second difference that time by. Oh, wow. I'm definitely, not definitely, it seems very, very possible that I'm going to eat my words criticizing Bill Edwards' strategy early on, because he is closing down on that 9 truck by quite a bit. He's gotten by Lorello, that is, has gotten by Sobel, but Sobel's not going away. And TJ Buck and Andrew Himmelman, last truck on the lead lap now, they're definitely not going to be rolling over for this 9 truck either.
No, absolutely not. We go on board with the number 9 machine. Looks like he does have a run here on TJ Buck. Also Andrew Himmelman here as they go off into turn number 1. But definitely, like you said, Edwards definitely closing there at the bottom of the screen. Last time by, though, only about a 10th. So it's going to be interesting. But I think the 50 of Edwards had to deal with a little bit of lap traffic that last lap as well. So lap traffic could definitely play a really big factor here in the closing stages of this one, as we only have 19 to go.
Yep. Oh, it's down under 3 seconds, 2.990 seconds between Lorello and Bill Edwards. But Bill Edwards does have those 3 lap trucks that, honestly, Lorello was able to navigate pretty seamlessly. Will Bill Edwards have that same ease in getting by these guys that are really separating him from the lead? Again, here comes Lorello on more lap traffic. Looks like he's going to have to take the high lane. I can't imagine that's what he wanted to do going into turn 1. That's certainly not been the quicker lane. Wow, that is not letting the leader go by easily, was that black and red truck right there.
Yeah, that's Aaron Mack in the number 35 machine. Mack is down in 19th position, 80 laps down. Definitely hasn't been the night he was looking for, but a good job for him to hang in there. Doug Neal in the number 77 machine, I mentioned a little while ago. I said, man, he's still hanging out there. Brand new engine in that number 77 truck. I think when we first checked in with him, he was down at 20th. He has been able to get up to 16th due to the attrition. So definitely been an interesting night for the number 77 machine. But back to the front, it's now just 2.2 seconds, 16 laps to go. And Edwards has definitely got that closing rate, Drew. Over the last 5 laps, he's been about 2.5 seconds faster than James Lorello. And at 2.5 tenths, I should say, at 2.5 tenths of a second, he'll be there in about 8 laps. So this would probably be about a 7-lap battle for the race win. Just will the number 9 of Lorello, will he be able to hold on? I think that's going to be the big question. Once again here in the National Sim Racing Association Simbox Truck Series, we're going to be here for a grandstand finish here at Richmond tonight.
I mean, if I were the 30 truck, I certainly wouldn't contest Bill Edwards the way I did James Lorello. He lets him go through fairly easily through 1 and 2. That's what I expected. The leader always has a harder time getting through this lap traffic because there's no incentive for the 30 of Josh Sobel to really harass the 50. He's just costing himself time to the leader, which he's trying to stay that first truck a lap down. As what is the lead down to? Under 2 seconds now. Man, I'm going to feel like a big old dummy if this 50 truck is able to get by this 9, because I certainly did not think that this was possible. Bill Edwards has done an incredible job here late in the race of ensuring that short pit does not cost him this, at least cost him a chance to compete for this win.
Now we're right on board with him right here as he works his way through turn number 1 and 2. But Drew, I mean, you got to think that part of what's gone into play here is that lap traffic that Lorello caught. They didn't lay over for the number 9 machine. They definitely raced him, and Edwards benefited from that quite significantly. But interestingly here, and interestingly enough, last time by, less than half a tenth of a second between Lorello and Edwards. Perhaps these tires are plateauing, like you said. The number 9 machine looks like he might have had to deal with a little bit of lap traffic there with Stan Hausman. We'll see how that affects their lap times this time by, but it's still kind of hovering about 1.8 seconds, and it seems like it's kind of leveled off there. This time by, you can see Edwards about a tenth and a half faster, but with 10 laps to go, that only means he's going to get to his back bumper. So really, Edwards here, he's going to have to turn up the wick here in these final 10 laps, and now they have a little bit of lap traffic between them. That could also come into play for Edwards. So Lorello here, all of a sudden, you know, things kind of swing to his advantage. And like you said, Drew, you expected the tires to kind of plateau, and it seems like perhaps they have, as once again, 9 laps to go, 1.7 seconds up at the front.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Bill Edwards was really taking care of his tires, right? Like he couldn't afford to. He had to push, and hopefully he could close in on that 9 truck. And he was able to, but last time by, lap traffic cost Bill Edwards a tenth of a second. Back up to 1.8 from 1.7. So, yeah, they have been kind of trading lap times these last few times by, and that's not what Bill Edwards can afford. Is we are coming to 7 laps to go this time by.
Yep, just 7 laps to go. James Lorello, already a winner this season in the Simbox Truck Series, got the win 3 weeks ago in Atlanta, trying to get win number 2 here in the first 4 races. Man, wouldn't that be a story for this truck that we ride on board with right here, Lorello. We'll see what the lap times are like this time by. 23.184 for Lorello, 23.238 for Bill Edwards. That gap is getting larger, folks. Lorello is the one who can turn up the wick here in the final going, but he's not out of the woods yet. He does have some lap traffic in front of him that could come into effect. Could slow him down, could close that gap a little bit. There's the number 33 of Jeffrey Johnson Jr. He's one of those drivers who have stuck it out here tonight, and you can see a massive gap back to Ben Adams, who's actually not out there on the racetrack anymore. We'll remove that graphic. But Jeffrey Johnson running in 14th here, came into tonight second place in points, I believe, 1 marker behind your second place driver, the number 50 of Bill Edwards. But Drew, looks like he's just coming up a little bit flat here with just 4 laps to go.
Yeah, he was a tenth quicker that last time by, but that's certainly not going to cut the mustard, so to speak, at this point in the race. He really needs to be 3 or 4 tenths quicker a lap. Heck of a job, though, just getting it to this point. But yeah, it's 6.5 seconds down to 1.8. That's nothing to sneeze at, but you know, at this point, right? There definitely could be a caution here with 3 to go. But he, I think, based on that closing rate, was certainly hoping for more than stalling out just under 2 seconds behind James Lorello in that 9.
Yeah, without a doubt, Lorello here, what a strong finish it has been for him. Just like what we saw at Atlanta, Drew. I mean, Lorello, he's been really, really fast tonight. He was really, really fast at Atlanta. Had some hiccups there at Atlanta that led to him being a little bit further back, but he finished strong, and that's what he's doing here tonight with this late run towards the end of the race. He's definitely led the most laps here today, and he's just 1 lap away from getting the job done here at Richmond. What a strong finish it has been for this driver.
Yeah, I mean, he has displayed a great balance between speed and level-headedness as he heads down the backstretch into turn 3 for the final time. James Lorello, an impressive performance out of turn 4, will win at Richmond here at the 200 long mile race here at Richmond Speedway. Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Nathan Maurer in the 971. He's going to come across the start-finish line. Looks like he's going to get third. Chris Darling in the 47 machine. He's going to stick it out, come across the line in fourth. And folks, only 4 trucks finishing on the lead lap here tonight. Joshua Sobel is going to be your 5th place finisher right there. Solid top 5 for him. And how about Andrew Himmelman in the number 4 truck, getting the 6th position here in the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200 here at the Richmond Raceway. But definitely James Lorello here on the front stretch. He's doing some burnouts here, going to burn it down for all the fans. Getting win number 2 on the season. Bill Edwards there going to join in as well. S2R 1-2 here at Richmond. Dominating performance for these two in the end with a 14-second gap back to Nathan Maurer in that 971 truck. Just absolutely domination for these 2 teammates here tonight. But folks, don't go anywhere here on 3 Wide TV because we got some post-race interviews lined up for you. We're going to interview your top 3 finishes, Lorello, Edwards, and Maurer, as well as the number 4 machine of Andrew Himmelman. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on 3 Wide TV. All right, folks, welcome back to the Richmond Raceway. Tonight's race has come to a finish, and we're going to dial up tonight's 6th place finisher, Andrew Himmelman. Of course, tonight was the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200. Andrew, Peter Short here in the 3 Wide TV booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Well, we were going to try and get you before the start of the race, but we weren't able to do so, unfortunately. But hey, man, I'll tell you what, you come home with a 6th place finish, so probably better that we talk to you after the fact because you put together a really solid run. And of course, it being the Mike Himmelman Memorial, remembering your father here tonight. First, tell us what this race means to you. And secondly, tell the viewers right now, tell us what this weekend means to you. And then after that, tell us a little bit about your race because it was a great finish for you here tonight.
I mean, it was a great race. This weekend's big. It was my dad's birthday. He died 2 years ago. And again, I want to thank Chris Darling. I mean, he gave the sponsorship to me, and I can't thank him enough, man. And congrats to James for winning it. That's awesome. It was a great race. Avoided a lot of wrecks, put together a good P6, man.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, a lot of trucks out there had certain levels of damage. How about your number 4 machine here tonight? Was there any damage left on that truck at the end? I mean, definitely a lot of early yellows here tonight that kind of shaped the race and it definitely added a level of complexity with a lot of the trucks having damage.
Actually, shockingly, no damage at all ending on the truck. We actually tried to short pit the last one. It just came up short, but I can't. I'm not mad at all. It was a good points race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, I think the strongest finish you've had so far early in this season. Next week, we go to the Lone Star State. We go to the Texas Motor Speedway. It should be a fun one. What are your thoughts about going to Texas?
I'm totally in. I love a good mile and a half, man. I feel pretty good about that. After Richmond, I'm kind of tired of a short track, but it was a fun race.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a long night here tonight. But I know, Andrew, you definitely have some more shout outs here for us on 3 Wide TV. I know you got quite a few people rooting you on in the chat here tonight as well, which is always awesome to see. They always perk up and let us know that they're rooting you on. So give us some shout outs.
I just want to thank my family for letting me race. And again, I just want to thank Chris for letting me have the sponsorship and y'all guys for broadcasting.
All right. Well, Andrew, best of luck next week at Texas Motor Speedway. And until then, best of luck in all your endeavors, bud.
You too, man.
All right. Well, that was tonight's sixth place finisher, Andrew Himmelman. Of course, tonight is the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200 in loving memory of him passing away 2 years ago. That was Andrew's father. But let's see if we can dial up tonight's third place finisher, Nathan Maurer. And I believe that Drew Eisenman's caught up with him.
Absolutely, Nathan. Well, you started P3, you finished P3. Give us a little rundown of your race and how it unfolded.
I don't even know where to begin with that race. Started, I guess I started third. I couldn't tell you where I started. Kind of had that incident there towards the beginning of the race. Guy just straight up dove down underneath me. Don't know if you caught that on the broadcast tonight or not, and went up and hit the 88 by accident. I don't think he got too much damage from it, and I had to go to the back, and it was fun. It was fun coming from the back up to the front, and just happy with a P3 there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw quite a bit of aggressive driving early on, as you kind of firsthand experienced. Do you think guys were being a little too over aggressive, or is that just the nature of Richmond? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a combination of really too aggressive driving there, and also just still some new guys in here that aren't used to racing with each other, and people seem to have different braking points entering the turns. Some people like to burn up their tires right away, and some like to try saving them. And there's just too many cautions. We just kept on getting all stacked up there, and I think that's cautions breed cautions. We just couldn't really get strung out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of, obviously late in the run, some long green flag, late in the race, rather, long green flag runs. We saw guys short pit. We saw guys stay out. What was your thought process on your strategy when we started getting those long green runs?
I didn't really have a strategy. I kind of wanted to be one of the first ones to pit. I think when I seen the 9, I think me and the 9 pitted there, the second to last pit stop together. But then the 25 brought out a caution and trapped me a lap down. I had to take a wave around, and I just never really recovered from that. I mean, I finished P3 there, so I guess I kind of did recover. But I didn't really have a strategy. I just want to be the first one to pit. A practice race last night, I pitted about 6 laps before anybody else, and I mean, I think I lapped the whole field in the practice race just because I pitted 6 laps earlier on old tires.
Yeah, we absolutely saw that difference in tires play out late in this race. Congratulations on that P3 here at 3 Wide TV. Would you like to give a shout out to anybody before we let you go?
There's a list. Chris Darling and all the other men's running this league. NSRA. Chris Darling's graphic designs. He paints some. Does some damn good paint jobs on these trucks. And Simbox, owned by my best friend Steve. He's a good guy. Need a Simbox, hit him up for a button box. And just all everybody racing here tonight.
Thank you, Nathan. And again, congratulations on that P3.
Hope to talk to you next Friday, guys. Have a good night.
All right, and I believe Drew's going to walk around the media pen, and I think he's caught up with Bill Edwards as well.
Absolutely. Bill Edwards, a heck of a P2 finish. Some interesting late race strategy. Can you kind of give us a rundown of kind of, the chaos that was earlier in the race, and then just overall how you felt about how your race unfolded tonight?
I felt all right. I wish I would have pit the same time James did, but I thought maybe I could still run him down. That beginning, it happens. This is a really tough track. Every corner is kind of a white knuckle corner. So we had some green flag runs, which is about all you can ask for at Richmond.
Absolutely. We saw guys kind of speaking to how difficult this track is. We saw guys off of turn 2, off of turn 4, really struggle with keeping the truck under them, both on restarts and at speed. How difficult were these trucks to drive tonight?
Difficult. It was difficult. I mean, I probably almost spun around 5 or 6 times. I mean, it was rough. It was fun. I mean, I like driving a loose race car anyways. So, but yeah, there's a couple clenching moments.
Yeah, I don't think there was a truck that we watched that didn't have kind of one of those, do I think I got it? Do I got it? Okay, we're good. Moments off the corner. But yeah, you kind of spoke to that last pit stop earlier in our interview. What was your thought process, right? You mentioned that you wanted to kind of run him down later. I'll be honest, I totally thought you had no chance to win that race based on when James pitted versus when you pitted, but we saw you close a 6.5-second gap down to under 2 seconds. What was your thought process when you were running him down, and then when that closing rate really started to stagnate there within the last 10 laps?
That was kind of my idea. Was I was going to go out. I was going to pit just a little bit later, and I was just going to just give it everything it had and just run it. And it didn't work out, but I did close up a ton of gap on him, and then I hit about 1.7, 1.8 seconds behind him, and it felt like the tires kind of evened out. I'm sure with him out front, he was able to kind of take it easy, and the tires equalized, and that's kind of where we sat right to the finish. But either way, you got James is so fast, you kind of got to try something every now and then with him. I think had good chance that had we pit at the same time, he may have still got it. It would have been a tight race either way, but it was a heck of a race, a lot of fun. Those green flag laps. I mean, you don't get a lot of green flag laps at Richmond, and getting to run those green flag laps was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, some great green flag racing there late in the race. So you were the points leader coming into this, and you had a great finish in this race, and pretty much everyone around you in points really struggled. Was that going into your thought process at all when you late in the race when it came to strategy or anything, or were you just trying to get this win?
I just wanted to win. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to win. I didn't know where anybody else was at or anything else. I know that yellow flag kind of trapped some people down a lap, but yeah, and I figured I just wanted to win.
Absolutely, Bill. Well, again, a team 1-2, a heck of a finish for you. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go here?
Oh, a bunch of people. Got to give a shout out to my mom who's watching. She watches every one of these races. My girlfriend, my kids. I got to give a shout out to my teammate, James. Matt Vanicoy as well, which he's not running tonight, but my whole S2R team. I got to give a shout out to NSRA and all these guys, because these guys are a blast to race with every day. Not every day, but every week or whatever. Simbox for sponsoring Brookstone Animal Hospital, Sim Racing shirts. Max Grafix, Taz Racing Customs, FatalConcepts.com. All the guys, all the businesses, and all the people that make this possible for us to do this every week.
Absolutely, Bill. Well, again, congratulations on third, and we look forward to seeing you next race.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
All right, folks. That's going to do it for our second place with Bill Edwards here tonight. But let's see if we can dial up the race winner for the second time this season, driver of the number 9 machine, James Lorello. James, man, oh man, I'll tell you what, middle of the race, caution flag comes out. You end up being the lucky dog. You just come down pit road. You stretched it a long way on fuel, so you literally had to come down pit road. What was going through your mind when you saw that caution flag come out? Did you realize you were the lucky dog, or what was going through your mind?
I thought for sure I got trapped a lap down. I was trying my best to catch him. Bill, who was behind me before that green light flag stop, I said, "How many laps you got left on fuel?" And he said 20, and I had 2 to go. And I thought, "Oh boy, there better not be a caution." So got lucky there that I got the lucky dog and was able to get through some cars, because I wasn't so sure that that was going to be so easy. Then that one green flag run was real fun. Great race at the end there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might have eaten up your tires just a little bit trying to get past that lap traffic, and you kind of stagnated there behind Bill right when we got into that last round of green flag pit stops, but you came down pit road, you hit your marks on pit road, your crew went to work, and due to this, how that pit cycle, worked out, you ended up being the race leader by about 6.5 seconds, but it wasn't easy as some of the lap traffic really raced you hard. What was going through your mind as you kept seeing that number 50 close in on you?
Yeah, I thought I could keep him back a little bit. I didn't expect him to be that far back. I thought he'd be a few more seconds closer to me. And then I think it might have been Sobel or somebody who's trying to stay on the lead lap. And once I was fighting them, I burned my stuff off a little bit, and he kept coming. And I was trying to save as much as I could so that I could really push it in the last 10 laps, and that's when we leveled off. But I thought for sure he might actually catch me. Once I got in that battle with the lap car, I thought I might have burned him up a little bit too much, and he'll catch me a couple tenths a lap. But was able to keep it at 2 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you what, once it kind of plateaued out, Drew and I were both up here in the booth going, man, I think he's going to catch him. I think he's going to catch him. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like the number 50 just ran out right there at the end. But hey, 2 wins in the first 4 races. You got the win 3 weeks ago at Atlanta. Unfortunately, you weren't in the field at Vegas, but hey, you're back in the field here tonight and back in victory lane. So that's 2 in a row start-wise for you. And we go to Texas Motor Speedway next week, which is very similar to Atlanta Motor Speedway. A, will we see you next week? And B, what are your thoughts about Texas?
Yeah, I should be back next week. I was off last week for a little vacation, so hopefully I can make the rest of the races this year. Texas, I think I'll be pretty good at. I really like the mile and a halfs. Richmond's really not my strongest track. I thought for sure Chris Darling was really the class of the field, I think, tonight. Unfortunately, got caught up in some stuff. I mean, I was close, but I didn't really come in here expecting to win this race. I thought maybe a top 5. So this is great to have 2 wins in the first 4 races. Hopefully, we can keep the momentum. And Texas, I think, will be great. Hopefully, me and Bill can go 1-2 again or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a little bit of momentum for you guys going in to next week at Texas Motor Speedway. But hey, congratulations again. And I'm sure you got some shout outs from Victory Lane.
Yeah, of course. Thanks you guys for the broadcast. Always awesome. Can't wait to go rewatch it. And thanks to the league sponsors, Simbox, and for the memorial race tonight. It's really awesome that Andrew's father's being honored. So really, really enjoying that. And thanks to my teammate Bill and S2R. Another great run, and I'm excited for this season, man. So let's keep it going.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see you next week, same time, same place, right here on 3Wide TV at the Texas Motor Speedway in the Lone Star State. It's a little bit of a home race for Drew and I, so hopefully you enjoy some Lone Star State hospitality there, Drew and or James, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, fellas. See you there.
All right. Well, Drew, definitely an interesting race here tonight with the number 9 machine taking home the win. 2 wins in 2 starts for him and 2 wins in the first 4 races. Definitely a strong way to start the season. But there was definitely some other drivers that had some standout races here tonight. Drew, why don't you take us through tonight's race results?
Absolutely. Your winner, the number 9, James Rello. We just spoke with him. Outstanding effort by him. His teammate, Bill Edwards, finishes P2. Nathan Maurer, P3. Chris Darling, got to be a disappointed P4, getting involved in a couple incidents throughout the race. Definitely demonstrated a ton of pace tonight, but ultimately will bring it home P4. Joshua Sobel, once again, also demonstrated a ton of pace, bringing it home in P5. Andrew Himmelman, and I'm sure a race that means a ton to him, brings it home P6. Joey Doucette, P7, a beneficiary of that late race caution. Doug Milliner, P8. TJ Buck, nice kind of recovery as we saw him struggling earlier in the race in P9. And Stan Houseman in that 39 truck, bringing out the tail end of your top 10 in 10th position.
And I just want to say we have our first Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race Award. The number 61 of Joey Doucette there, finishing up in 7th. He gained 15 spots from the start of the race. But don't go anywhere. We're not done with the Taz Racing Graphics Biggest Mover of the Award because it was actually a 3-way tie. And as we go over into the second set of race results, Paul Bilson comes home in 11th. What a recovery it was for him after falling out of the race, falling 8 laps down early in the show. Comes almost back to get a top 10. Tim Hammond in the number 25 and Brian Bradley. Folks, 12th and 13th, they are your second and third Taz Racing Customs, biggest mover of the race. Both of those drivers picking up 15 positions over the night. Hammond started in 27th. Bradley started in 28th. So good job for both of them. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. came into tonight's second place in points, but unfortunately was pogo sticking down the racetrack and ended up on his roof at one point, finishing 26 laps down in 14th. Doug Neal, who battled back from a blown motor early in the race to battle back to finish 15th. Ben Adams in 16th. Peter Serto in 17th. Aaron Mack 18th. Travis White 19th. Colin Ullery round out your top 20 there, Drew.
Absolutely. And Jeff Price, last week's winner, got to be a little bit disappointed in tonight's finish in 21st. Chip Hansen involved in quite a few incidents, not all, most of which, in fact, were not of his doing. Brings it home 22nd. Matt Cherry, so much pace, and then had that big wreck off of 2, getting smashed by a few trucks there. We'll bring it home 23rd. Ben Mashburn, 24th. Jamar Dumas, 25th. Michael Mooney, 26th. Jacob Schaffet, 27th. Justin White, disappointing finish at Atlanta, disappointing finish at Vegas, and another disappointing finish here starting in the top 10. Will finish 28th. And then Nicholas Bradley, I don't believe he might, actually he did. He turned about 20 laps, but I'm sure that is 249 laps less than he wish he would have turned. Started 29th, finished 29th, rounding out our field.
Yeah, and, we mentioned it earlier in the race, Drew. If you're Nicholas Bradley, you'd probably rather have that happen, in the first 20 laps than the last 20 laps when, you can get off the racetrack and be like, you know what, I still have the rest of the evening here to enjoy. But, folks, definitely a big shout out to Simbox, the series sponsor here for the National Sim Racing Association. Jumping on board, sponsoring. There you can see the link up on the banner above James Lorello's number 9 machine, facebook.com/SimboxPC, all one word. Go check them out for all of your iRacing button box needs. They do custom button boxes for a fantastic price. Also, a big shout out to our friends over at SimTV for these camera angles that we bring you each and every week here on 3 Wide TV. But folks, that's going to do it for tonight's broadcast of the Mike Himmelman Memorial 200. Definitely our thoughts and prayers are with the Himmelman family here this week, as it has been 2 years since Mike Himmelman passed away. But we will be back here on 3 Wide TV, same place, same time, right here next week. Texas Motor Speedway. Be here, like and subscribe the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps us out here on 3 Wide TV for sure. But for myself, Peter Short and Drew Eisman, we'll see you guys next week for more action, but this time on a 1.5 mile racetrack. See ya!